There you go. All right, I'm gonna call the meeting to order. It is 6:13 PM on January 22nd, 2025, and we are at the Taos Pueblo Water Administration. And I'm so glad everyone found this place and we're all here. It's awesome. Welcome, everyone. Anna, would you do the roll call, please?
President Flores, Vice President Sprague. Here. Secretary Trujillo.
Here.
Board Member King.
Here.
Board Member Concha.
Here. Thank you. All right. Dr. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Dr. Bailey. All right. So we'd like to read the land acknowledgement. Would you, Naomi? Would you like to read the land acknowledgement?
Sure.
Okay.
Land acknowledgement. It is respectful to recognize the unique and enduring relationship that exists between Indigenous people and their traditional territories. We acknowledge that we are on the historic land of the Red Willow people within the original territory of Pueblo. This acknowledgement will oblige as a reminder of our ongoing efforts to respectfully recognize, honor, reconcile, and partner with the Red Willow people whose land and water we benefit from in this great valley today.
Thank you. All right, E is approval of the meeting agenda, and I would like to suggest that we make one change. We need a motion and a second for that, obviously. And that would be to move the Harwood presentation to just after item G. So that they can. Yes. Excuse me. Yes. Okay, correction, we'll do it after H. The motion was after, right after H. Can we have a motion for that? Does anyone want to make things? Okay, I make a motion that we move the Harvard presentation from J up to right after H.
I second.
Thank you. Did you call for the name, please?
Board Member Concha?
Yes.
Board Member King?
Yes.
Secretary Trujillo?
Yes.
Vice President Sprague?
Yes, thank you all. All right. So public comment is next. Is there anyone wishing to make a public comment? Is there anyone online, Maria? No. Okay, seeing no one and hearing that no one's online, we're going to move on to G. Presentations. A, tribal leadership, Taos Pueblo Governor Edwin Concha.
Vice President Sprague, we do have Sheriff Jesse Winters here.
Okay, hi, the sheriff is
Is it
here.
my turn to speak a little bit?
Are you speaking on behalf of?
Yes, on behalf of
Governor Concha? Okay, yes, it is.
Yeah, Palatuta Maloney in our language. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Dabu has our governor has some traditional obligations, so he asked me to be here. My name is Jesse Winters. I'm the second tribal sheriff this year. It's an honor to be here. He just asked me to sit in and give thanks to everyone and wish everybody well. And I'll be taking notes and relaying everything that I hear this evening. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, and we feel it's an honor to be here. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
Can we have our tribal councilman of the Secretary say?
Yes, sir.
I would respectfully like to ask our tribal councilman, Mr. Sandoval, to open this up with a little prayer, please.
Til poter udklædning af højskab, men det er det med, hvor man må finde til på en bjerge, hvor det er det var en bjerge. Men der kan være karne, jeg men kunne ikke, og jeg nævner kunne ikke, ude der jeg var små hen, jeg nævner bjergen, når jeg var. Jeg nævner mig, når man kan gøre det, mig ved, men det er jo næsten at blive. Jeg nævner, og den del af grønne nøjekvinden, og der man karne. Der man er, hvor man laver det her, du der på hende med, hvor og den ene kommer det over, der ene står kvidt, og den ene over. Den er jo over en 20, der blev meget af over.
Okay. Are you ready, Mr. Winters? I think you're presenting next, right?
Documents for me, and some of the, say, what the type of the woman, but then I was not taking, but after you know, we are really not bad,
I'm gonna leave it to my
That's
tribal
fine.
councilman.
That's fine.
He probably has a little bit more weight to his word, but I'm here for open ears. And yeah, just like I said, thanks for on behalf of our governor.
Oh, great. Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Curtis Samuel, I'm Senior Tribal Councilman, and then I work chief. Lieutenant Governor, then I work chief, all that stuff that going, work with the church, the scholarly, and all that stuff going on. And I'd like to welcome everybody that's here. Thank you for coming, and like we said, that we educating are very important for young ones that are coming up. And it's better that we all get along. We've been here on both sides for a long time, and a lot of you, went to school together. And, we've been here, but we're still here, some of us are still here anyway. So, another thing that we need to tackle is the alcoholic problem we have in the district here, separate town in Pueblo, and everywhere else, that's our main key thing is to keep the kids educated and of what's around nowadays, like in the old time, it's like that. So we use this more phone than what they take now, and like nowadays, grandpa and grandma are raising their kids, and the parents are still parents. And it's hard to say anything, I know, almost. There's a biggest problem we have here is that you probably guys all know about fentanyl, so it's going on and on here. And that's one thing that needs to be controlled between federal government, federal council, the roundhouse, the public schools, and more education, and that's how we can deal with and bring families together. The only way you can bring that is work together and work with the system and what you have and the knowledge you guys have, remember what you and to put it there. If you do a job, sometimes it's hard when you have the communication and when you have the leadership behind you, the people that help the most back you up and all that stuff. But you as educators, as the board members, we need to work with the school districts from all over, work with the people and work with everybody. And it's the only way you can solve a lot of problems. And again, back to blessings to all of you. Creator take care of all of you. May your baskets never go dry. And hope the Creator give us a blessed year, and that's going to be a rough year for us for the first year. And see what happens. The only way we can do this is pray. That whole what do we have here protect us from nothing falling off, to the head or different ways. So things like going in the White House and everything going everywhere. But Pueblo is pretty strong. Home of the regular people, and just pray. If you feel like praying, just go outside and pray, because other creators and all the leadership is up there and yours too, once you seen in the past, the grandpas and grandmas. So thank you again.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Wonderful. Does anyone have anything they'd like to say?
I'd just say a few words, thanking our tribal councilman here who, consistently shows up for us and our meetings and within the community. And, I would definitely like to see more participation from our people, our community, our leadership, and, the support, because I can't do this alone. Nobody can do this alone. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. So, I do invite you all to share with your community members, your family, your friends, to weigh in on some of these issues that we're dealing with. And, Councilman Sandoval is right. We don't know what this next year is going to bring with the Trump administration and our sovereignty and education and funding in general, on the federal level. So, we just got to keep doing the work that we're doing, stay consistent, show up, and support each other, whether it's, within district to district or government to government, county to house, county, house Pueblo. So, again, I appreciate the words and, thank you.
Naomi, would you please introduce, Mr. Lujan on the Board of Education for you?
Sure, we have another, elder in our community, Mr. Vernon Lupon, who's on the Taos Pueblo Board of Education and also our Assistant Chief Operations Officer for Taos Pueblo, who we would also like to welcome and invite to say a few words.
Good evening, everybody. My father and Jew and on Jew why Kuku Kimachia with my it's a beauty for it cool on Tama for my chair and cũng khi mà Kim sự Kim Pia chat on the whole feel about Kim Hawaiian not or Yakio did about on Kukui about Macquarie come against a few the Mac and Imperial and all you hold nothing more but no night chair no one who on the good queen of Cannon. I'd like to thank you all for being here despite the cold weather and the bad directions that we gave you all. Sorry about that. I had to bring 3-4 folks with me to this place. It's a nice new facility, but we still don't have, street signs or numbers on the streets. This road is actually slated for an improvement this year. So we're going to be breaking ground and paving this road as well. Improvements like curb and gutter and sidewalks and all the modern day amenities that roads should have to make them safe for the public. And hopefully we'll put up street signs and numbers for the various buildings and residents that live on this road. I'd also like to say that our initiatives with language, our Tiwa language, are very important to us, and we appreciate that the board has been supportive, as well as the superintendents. We appreciate that you've designated classroom space so that our instructors, Tiwa language instructors, can come in and teach our children on the premises, so they don't have to go to a different area or be around in the cold at late at night to some of these other places that we have where we gather for teaching purposes. We'd also like to thank the board for all the initiatives that you've undertaken on behalf of our children. We met last week with Mr. Anita Lujan and Ms. Renetta Montagun to hammer out the Impact Aid application, and that's going to be on the agenda tonight, right? So, no. Anyway, it needs to be submitted at the end of this month, so you might have to call a special session. But anyway, I've also seen my friends from the Harwood here, and I'm on their board as well. So I know that the municipal school have a art collection, and somebody needs to take care of it, and they're the professionals to do it. So I'd like to welcome you all to Taos Pueblo and to our tribal lands. We saw the sign, and I don't know if you can read it, it was so dark, but once you enter our lands, you are subject to our laws, rules, and regulations. And I know you're all law-abiding citizens, but that was an initiative that we undertook because the new president has a stern warning for us all about, immigration and coming onto lands that, don't belong to you and respect and all that. And so that's just a little reminder. But as you know, we've been here centuries and we've learned to live with each other as neighbors and friends, and we'd like to continue that relationship. So thank you all. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, you may.
In hearing, what has been said by Taos Pueblo. I just want to, commend Taos Pueblo for the family and that, has made this Pueblo who it is. And like you said, for centuries. And it's family that where the language has been passed on from one generation to another. And it is a generation of love and respect and peace and neighborhood, because we've lived as neighbors. But I thought and now the extension to bring education and a mutual education, and where we learn from Taos Pueblo, and Taos Pueblo learns from us as a multicultural neighborhood. I would say a neighborhood, because we're this close. But I think that family is so important in any community, so that we can remain and be established and have a place for our children, for the parents and the grandparents, that we can live by example, and to be able to raise the children that we want for the next generations to come. Thank you so much.
You're so qualified. I also wanted to point out that she'll probably be really upset, but former Vice President Whitney Golera is here with us, and I wanted to point that out because we're so happy to have you here. And also Sally Martinet from Divot Associates is here for the Harwood presentation too, and the Harwood, of course. Welcome. I'm so glad we found it. It's awesome. All right. Thank you. Thank everyone for being here. That was great. And thank you for your presentation, Mr. Sandoval. All right, next we have our favorite, Madam Undergone. We always give a good presentation. No second.
Good evening, Vice President Spray, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Layton, tribal members, council, Mr. Brendan. This evening I'll be presenting once again on our TESRA report, and this is for our new tribal government so that they're aware of where the school district is. In our IPP, it had been stated that the school district had promised that we would have 2 meetings a year with tribal government, and this is one of those meetings, so that new tribal government is aware of what the school year looks like, what our initiatives are, how our students are progressing, and any starting to plan for the upcoming school year. I just want to state that we have already met with tribal government on January 14th. We met with governor, lieutenant governor, and tribal secretary, and had our initial meeting where they reviewed all of our extensive MOUs, our IPPs, all of our grant applications, and we began that first conversation of what it's going to look like for the planning of budget as we come up in our tribal consultation in April or March, I believe it's going to be for the first one. Maria, first slide. So when we had first met in November, we did not have our New Mexico visa data scores. We were waiting for those to come out, and they came out the next day. So so here we have them now. We have our reading scores, and what you see in front of you is the New Mexico reading scores and Taos Municipal reading scores. And I have at the bottom is all of our subcategories of students, but highlighted in green, you'll see our Native American students. Taos, New Mexico, or Taos students, our Native American students are scoring at 35% in reading proficiency. and New Mexico is scoring at a 25%. So we're 10% above what the New Mexico state averages for our Native American students. Down below, I have our historical data, not our complete historical data that is listed in our tester data. We scored 1% higher than what we had previously last year. So last year we're at 34%, this year we're at 35%. Next slide. Next up is math, which is, as we all know, has been a concern for us, and Dr. Layton has made that a focus for us this year on how we're going to work to improve those scores, and he's already taken steps and initiatives to help us address these in the district with our interventionists, working with our school sites. We have a new consultant that's helping our secondary look at math and PLCs and how to provide interventions to our students. So those are, we're working towards bringing up these scores, but what we do have is our Native American students were scoring at 11%, and our New Mexico Native American students were scoring at 12%, so we're 1% below. Our data for last year has been masked because for both years, we've been scoring below that 10% average of what we're supposed to. Next slide. Science for New Mexico visas, we are at, for Taos, 25%, and for New Mexico, we're at 24%. This one is a little concerning for me and questionable about why we scored a little bit lower. I think that the assessment had shifted a little bit as well. But previously, if you look at our historical data, we were at 32% and now we're at 26%. So we did see a decrease with our students in science, which typically our Native American students score very well in this area. And I think it's due to their cultural background and their experiences in the community that they have and they can bring into that assessment. Next slide. Our graduation rate for this year was at 84%, and my apologies, I did not have well, actually I have it in the next slide. This is our historical data, which you can see throughout the years. 75% has been, or the 70% has been where we've been able to score. This year, we were able to score at that 84%. I do want to acknowledge that working with Red Willow Center and their tutors have been a big support for our Native American students, and having certified teachers who are tutors who can go in and advocate for our students in the classes, I think has been a really big boon for our Native American students. Next slide. So this is the New Mexico visas, which you can see. This is the one that I didn't put the scores on, but it is still highlighted in green. Taos Municipal Schools is at 84, and the New Mexico Native American students are at 74%. So we're 10% higher than what the state average is. Attendance rate, we've had these conversations before, so have them again, so everybody understands. There's our overall attendance, so our district is at 11% absent rate, and so our present rate is at 88%. But then the New Mexico PED takes the little pie of our absent rate and cuts that up and tells us that we have chronic absenteeism in that little slice of pie. And they count that as 100%. So when you look at our chronic absenteeism rate out of that 100%, we have a 45.79% of chronically absent students. And so I know that's a big number, but think of it, it's that 45% within 11%, if you can keep that in mind. So our Native American students, they're showing at 67% as their chronic rate of absenteeism. And we do have a presentation from our attendance coaches this evening. We're gonna let the school board and the community know what we're doing to work on to support them in attending school and increasing that rate, monthly chronically absenteeism, but decreasing that rate and increasing our present rate. Next slide. So funding sources for our Native American students, what you see here is all of our funding sources that we use as a district, and what I've done is shown how many students we have in the district and the cost per pupil that we spend on each student, and then taken that and shown how much we spend overall on our Native American students. So Title I, we have, oh, can't see that part, 925,000. Getting old. 925,973,000. What we spend on our Native American students is 105,983, and that's for 190 students that are within the school district. Title II is really spent on teacher and principal professional development, but when we look at cost per student, what we're seeing for our Native American students is 19,832 is being spent. Title III is for our ESL students, English language learners. We don't have any identified Native American students who are in this category, so there isn't any funding that's going towards them at this time. Title IV is our rural and low income fund. We have 82,517 in there. What we do spend on our Native American students is $9,444,000. Our bilingual program, Tiwa language is a part of our bilingual program. We were able to incorporate that, I want to say, 6 years ago. I think we never came in, somewhere around there. Maybe 5 years ago. So, so our Tiwa language students generate funding for the Tiwa language program. This amount right here, 2,500, seems a little bit low, but we're basing it on the 50 students that are in the program. However, because the Tiwa language is a part of the bilingual program, if there's any additional resources that the teachers need or the students need, we're able to pull it out of the bilingual program overall general fund. Next up is our Indian Education Formula Grant, which we apply for yearly. This is our federal grant. This is 53,417, and that goes directly to our Native American students and helps fund salaries for our liaisons, travel for our students, programming for them. Ms. Ray's salary is help funded through that as well. Our Indian Education Act grant, this one was, they extended it, so we have a 2-year grant. So the amount is higher than what it had been typically. Right now we're at 91,000, and this is because we had spent down majority of it last year. This is part of the carryover from last year and then what our grant was this year. All of this goes directly to our Native American students, and this helps fund our Tiwa language teacher, and then our liaisons as well, and then any programming that we have for our Native American students. So it's 100% towards our Native American students. And then lastly is our Impact Aid Indian Education Title 8, and those we have regular ed and special education where funding generated by regular ed students and special education students. This entire fund goes directly towards our Native American students. The district has made a commitment that Impact Aid is not touched by operational or any other fund. We look to see how we can support our Native American programs. Next slide. So new programming and district initiatives. As I think I might have mentioned, we're increased our salary of our Indian education manager to ensure sustainability. So we're looking to the future. When we have people retiring, we want to be able to hire people and make a salary that's livable for Taos. So increasing that salary was important for us. Hired a Native American secondary certified liaison. We just hired her at the beginning of the year, Delavina. She's working with the high school. We're hiring a second Native American, secondary certified liaison. In fact, we just, interviewed and we'll be presenting that to our superintendent for his approval. So we'll have 2 certified teachers, which we found have been a huge benefit if we're looking back at the Red Willow program and how having certified teachers was really supportive for our Native American students. This is why we went in the direction of having certified liaisons in the schools as well. We're addressing attendance policy to reflect feedback from tribal leadership and Taos Pueblo community. So looking at cultural doings and how we can respect those and help students transition in and out of school as they have their doings that they need to participate in. And then Taos Municipal Schools increase the number of board meetings, which here we are, our second board meeting. And make sure that we are up to date in our initiatives. Next slide. So our celebrations for last year, and we'll continue with this again this year, was our end of year graduation celebration with tribal government, where we were able to recognize our graduates and also our students that have received the syllabi literacy. Our back to school event was extremely successful. We gave out 234 backpacks and 116 families benefited from the event. And this is a community organization. They get together all summer. Tina's part of it. There's a lot of community organizations from Taos Pueblo that organize it and put it together. And then there's one big day event and tons of families come out for this. So it's a huge success and a real benefit for our students. And then our syllabi literacy, we had 3 students awarded. And this past year was our first female student that was awarded the seal of literacy. Next up is our projects. So we're looking at increasing supports to our Native American students in the area of tutoring, which goes to our liaisons that we're looking to hire. An MOU with the district to address cultural days and maintain the sustainability of Indian education program. Work with surrounding charter schools to ensure student transition to Taos Municipal Schools is successful. This was brought up in one of our IEC meetings where there were concerns from our parents and what that transition looked like from the day school or Mesa Vista or not Mesa Vista Grande or Roots and Wings and how the kids were coming into the schools. And then finally, increase the number of Native American liaisons at the secondary level to support student transition, which we worked on that piece and we've met that goal. So we're very happy with that. With that, I stand for questions.
Does the board have any questions or comments?
I do, if you can go back, Maria, on that last bullet point, the number of liaisons, I guess in general, across all the schools, do we have the, infrastructure to house like these liaisons? Like, for example, Taos High School used to have the Indian Ed Room. Do we have that space at every school?
Yeah, so our principals, Miss Emmy and Miss Linda have both made spaces available for our liaisons. Their offices are ready. I know at the high school, there's one large room, and then we also, in addition to that, have the TWA classroom, which is kept separate. So we're really grateful for that piece so that we can have a classroom and then a separate private area where our liaisons can meet with the students and the parents and price.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Anyone else? Questions, comments?
No, it's very extensive.
Was you did a good job as usual. Thank you. Thank you. So encouraging. Okay. Moving on to item H on the agenda, new business, new policy, first reading. I'm gonna read what it says on here and then I'm gonna turn it over to you, Dr. Layton. During discussion of a policy proposal, the views of the public, staff members, and the board may result in changes. The change shall not require that the policy go through an additional review, except if the board determines that the change requires further study and that an additional review would be desirable. The proposed policy tonight is board policy I-2950, Tier Language Program Instruction, Dr. Layton.
Yes, Mrs. Sprague, members of the board, at our last board meeting here at Taos Pueblo, the board tasked me to find a way to implement our support for the Tiwa language program and instruction. And so through working with Ray, working with Associate Superintendent Mondragon, as well as the attorneys, we were able to do so. And so we're gonna give a first reading of the policy that will indicate our continued support of our Native American students. So the first reading is I-2950 at IHPE, Tiwa Language Program and Instruction. Taos Municipal Schools and the Taos Municipal School Board of Education are committed to supporting the revitalization of the Tiwa language for Taos Pueblo tribal members attending the Taos Municipal Schools by offering a Tiwa language program in the schools in collaboration with Taos Pueblo. The Tiwa language program is 100% under the purview of Taos Pueblo for the content delivered by 520 licensed Tiwa language instructors. In accordance with guidelines specified in the educational standards of New Mexico, Taos Municipal Schools will assure to honor and respect the Taos Pueblo Tiwa language program guidelines regarding the use to the Tiwa language in the public schools and provide the opportunity for Tiwa language to be taught in school. And so this is our first reading and this is our commitment.
And should I ask if we need a second reading or can we move on to tonight?
No, we can, because it's a first reading, and
Okay.
we have to wait for the next one, which I'll propose at the very end, a special board meeting specifically for this.
Okay, great. Any questions from anyone or any comments? Okay, great, thank you. Fantastic. All right, now Maria, we're gonna do the Harwood at this point. With the lovely women from the Harwood.
So you don't push it.
They had no questions, thanks. Yes, thank you. Everyone is Jennifer Laracy and Nicole K. Did I get it right?
Yeah, perfect.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'll start. So thank you, Vice Chair, Sprague, and members of the Taos Municipal School Board, Superintendent Dr. Layton, and members of the Taos Municipal School Art Committee, somewhere in the audience, for inviting us to present tonight. My name is Jennifer Laracy, and I'm the director of the Harwood Museum of Art, and I'm here tonight with Nicole Kay, my curator, and also Chris Albert, collections manager, and Kate Miller, our collections associate, or sorry, curatorial associate, and Vernon Lujan, who is on our board and also on our collections committee. So thank you for also joining us tonight. We deeply appreciate your time and dedication to the students and families of Taos and your commitment to preserving our community's rich cultural legacy. We also would like to express our sincere gratitude to the Taos Pueblo for hosting us on their sacred land. We honor the people, the Pueblo people, as the original stewards of this land, and we acknowledge their vital and enduring contributions to the culture and artistic identity of our region. The Harwood is privileged to have been the stewards, and let's go ahead and advance, one more. To have been the stewards of the Taos Municipal School Historic Art Collection since 2011. That was when we built our expansion, and we discovered the work as part of when we were curating our 100-year celebration of the Agnes Martin Before the Grid. We became aware of this extraordinary and valuable collection belonging to the schools. Recognizing that this collection could not be maintained under optimal conditions for fine art preservation at the time, the Harwood partnered with the school board to establish a long-term loan agreement. It's unusual for a professional museum to enter into long-term loans of this type, but we believe that the collection's significance warranted such commitment. 14 years later, we are here to revisit this agreement with the goal of creating a plan that ensures the preservation of this essential community collection while maximizing its educational and cultural value to the Taos community. Tonight, we will provide a background on the collection and its cultural importance, details on the Taos Municipal School Art Committee process and assessing, reviewing the collection, and presenting information to assist you in evaluating a proposed revision to the loan agreement at a future meeting. We are seeking to revise the agreement so that the Harwood Museum of Art can retain the most significant and culturally valuable works in professional care while returning less critical pieces to the Taos Municipal Schools for local engagement. This plan balances the need for heritage preservation with the goal of community accessibility. And so I want to share just a little bit about how this collection came to be, and then I'll pass it off to my colleague. So the Taos Municipal School Collection, Historic Art Collection, how many people knew about this collection? So few. So it was established in 1948 through the vision of Regina Tatum Cook in collaboration with the then Superintendent Joe Otero and the PTA. With additional support from Alice Kissinger, the first public school art teacher in Taos, and the collection began as a way to bring fine art into our local Taos schools. The works were generously donated by the artists and were initially displayed in school hallways and classrooms, making art accessible and inspirational in students' daily lives. Now, over the years, the collection grew to include 98 works, and that is what the Harwood steward's today. In 2011, the Harwood arranged to have those works moved into our climate-controlled and secure environment. And since then, the works have been cataloged, professionally photographed, and made available to our online database, which you can visit. If you go to collection, special collections, you can see the Taos Historical, Taos Municipal School Historical Collection, and you can view the majority of those works right there. The collection has been featured in numerous exhibitions locally and beyond. And I will have to pass it to my curator, Nicole Delpay, to share some of the significance of the works and some of the process, and we'll close up.
Thank you all for listening. As you mentioned, I'm Nicole, I'm the curator at the Harwood. And I just wanted to show you some of the really important works that are in this collection to emphasize sort of the weight of this conversation. Some of the artists represented in the Taos Municipal School Historic Collection, we just call it the TMS collection because it's a mouthful, contains works by some of the artists who are really integral to the Taos art community and to Taos art history, including Joseph Henry Sharp, who was a founding member of the Taos Society of Artists, known for his depictions of Native American life and the Southwestern landscape. Next. Jean Kloss, who was a celebrated printmaker recognized for her etchings of the Taos Pueblo and mystical Southwestern landscapes, emphasizing light and shadow. Dorothy Brett was a British-born artist and member of the Taos Art Colony, renowned for her intimate portrayals of Taos life. Katie Wells, in the next slide, was a modernist painter whose works blend abstraction and expressionism, often depicting dramatic Southwestern landscapes with unique emotional depth. And then Earl Stroh, in the next slide, is a Taos modernist known for his delicate abstract landscapes and master of lithography. And finally, of course, Agnes Martin, who is an internationally acclaimed abstract expressionist artist, famous for her serene grid-based paintings. This work, Midwinter, is actually an incredibly rare Agnes Martin work. She destroyed most of her works per the grids that most people know if you've come to the Harwood and been into the Agnes Martin room. There are very few works that still exist and are in collections that are representative of this time in her life and this type of work. So the fact that this piece was in the Taos Municipal School is really amazing. We're really grateful to have it. So the collection's cultural and historical value is significant, making it a unique asset for both the school and the community. And it is of extreme importance that we have some of these key pieces in museum quality protection. One more slide. So this is a snapshot of our collection space. There's actually, how many racks are there, Chris? 100?
50.
Yeah, there's about 50 of these painting racks. There's bins in the back, and then there's another collections room. And this is how we can properly care for this artwork. A lot of this artwork is from the early 1900s, a lot of 1910s, 1920s works. Many of them are fragile and require a controlled environment to prevent deterioration. The Harwood can provide a state-of-the-art storage, climate control, and conservation or care expertise, ensuring the long-term preservation of these valuable pieces. There is risk if these works leave. Displaying or storing the works in a non-museum environment could lead to significant wear, environmental damage, and even loss, especially in our New Mexico climate where we have a dryness issues. So we're really honored to care for these works. I want to emphasize what we've been able to do while these are in our collection. The works in this collection have been featured in a lot of current, past, and upcoming exhibitions. The works from the Taos Municipal Schools collection are regularly included in exhibitions and serve as a central part of the museum's permanent collection displays. This was entirely of the Taos Municipal Schools collection. There were a lot of works in there. You can tell by the salon stacking. This was part of our centennial exhibition that happened last year. We did a rotating gallery celebrating some of our most important collections within the collection. Here you can see the Fiesta Court is in front of them, enjoying all of the beautiful work. Other than this, and really, it's sort of constantly being rotated in our permanent collection, all of these works. There's so many treasures. The this one is almost always out. The Woody Crumbo is out all the time. But outside of Taos, we've also been loaning these works to other museums and teaching people about the incredible art history that's happened here in this community through this collection. Agnes Martin Midwinter, which I showed you earlier, was actually included in a major international retrospective from 2015 through 2017 that was at the Tate, LACMA, and the Guggenheim. We also have, flip one more. Sorry.
No, just tell me when you're ready.
This is the, thanks. So this is the catalog from Agnes Martin. And the traveling exhibition. If you put one more, we actually have an exhibition that is upcoming, which is the Pursuit of Happiness, the GI Bill in Taos, celebrating the significance of the GI Bill in our community, bringing artists from art centers all over the country to study here, really changing the fate of the arts community in Taos. This upcoming show in September 2025 will feature works from the Taos Municipal School Historic Collection, further integrating the history of Taos veterans and art during the GI Bill period. And I'll mention, since we are here on Taos Pueblo land, we're also heavily featuring Eva Mirabal and making sure that she's celebrated in this exhibition as a significant part of our history. One more. Another thing that we can offer at the Harwood is educational impact through our programming. We always have students, kids in the museum, thanks to our great educators that work there, and we can provide them access to the collection. We regularly use works from the Taos Municipal School collection and educational programs, which serve thousands of students in Taos County each year. And this really helps celebrate that cultural legacy of Taos. The collection connects current students and future generations to Taos' role in American art history. And we believe that encouraging artistic pursuits and exposure to works of art inspire young artists and enriches the community's cultural fabric. So keeping these key pieces at the museum really ensures that ongoing recognition, ongoing exhibition, ongoing engagement, and we will continue with our network and curatorial practices to feature these in high-profile exhibitions, both locally and internationally. The Harwood Museum ensures that the work are consistently displayed in a rotating schedule, ensuring consistent recognition for the Taos Municipal Schools in all of our labeling as we do that. So if you go to the next slide, I want to talk a little bit about our, maybe keep going into that. What we've done so far. So we started working with Whitney and Cynthia, who have been so wonderful and patient, and have done a lot of background work on this. Just to review all 98 works, the history of this, and the potential future of these pieces. So we don't need to go through it too much, but you can see we've been working on this since November 2023, really culminating last June in both Whitney and Cynthia coming and reviewing each individual of the 98 pieces one by one and assessing their condition and we've seen the work important, which is so in person, which is so important. You can go to the next slide. What we need to do sort of moving forward in this conversation, we need to look at some of the conservation needs that are present in the collection right now. The recommendation to go to the TMS board and the Harwood board on which works would stay and which works would be relocated. The TMS would vote on relocation and loan agreements would be revised, and then there would be a long process of moving work if that's where we ultimately end up. I do want to talk a little bit about that process of assessment. My team has worked a lot on this. We also worked with some outside experts, including scholars in this sort of time of art history in Taos, including Gus Foster, Alexander Benjamin, and Glenn Wilson Powell. We evaluated the artist's significance. We focused on their Taos and Southwest art history. Chris did 98 condition reports, which I think took 6 months. So we really took this very seriously, thinking about how it fit into our existing collection, if there was any duplication in our existing collection, how it aligned with our mission, our collecting goals, and our exhibition goals. And finally, we made a proposal that we sent to Cynthia and Whitney to move 36 of the 98 works back into the possession of the Taos Municipal School, which has not been voted on as just a recommendation from assessments.
So, I guess, just concluding, so we wanted to give you guys, you all time to sit on this, and also we'll continue to work with the art committee and with Dr. Layton to make the decisions on what proposal comes forward to the board. And then there will be a vote at a board meeting that you determine is the right timing, and then we'll move forward from there. So, and with that, let's stand for questions.
Thank you, this has been so helpful. You guys did it, that was just everything I hoped for.
We could have put up a lot more pretty pictures, but I thought also did.
Does the board have any questions or comments? Left it up to you. And Whitney.
And Whitney.
No, and also I wanted to say Renetta was part of this committee at the beginning, and now Dr. Layton is part of it, and also Ms. Martinette has been keeping us legal, like she knows all the rules on the amounts of money and everything else, so it's been it's a good committee, it's a really strong committee, and I've loved working with you guys, and thank you, Chris, for the 6 months of your life that you spent working on things, and it's been a joy, the whole thing has been a joy, and it hasn't been all that easy, I mean, this is a big project, so I'm so happy to see it happening, and it was a to-do project. It was a to-do, it was on the to-do list for a long time, yeah.
And I just want to reiterate that the Harwood, of course, Stewards is free of charge, and we are a nonprofit, so we have to seek funds to do everything that we have with the, you know, to exhibit, to take care of the collection. So, you know, we don't really have resources from outside to specifically do this. This is really, we do this because this is important to the community. And we build it into our overall operations and needs, so.
Vice President, I have a real quick, just so that maybe the public can understand, what is the current contract date as far as the length of time?
99-year loan.
Yeah, we're not even.
Which is very unusual.
Which is why, Harwood is looking at proposing for the committee some changes. It is a very long, the first time I saw it was, I think, when is it ending? 21?
None of us will be around.
So just wanted, so that way there's a comparison to know when they say long term.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was pretty long term.
We do have a similar contract with Pueblo, and we actually house their archives as well until they have a safe place to keep them. So, but those are the only two special collections that we actually house that are in our own collection.
Also, one last thing I've been so impressed with is when you do loan artwork from that collection, you guys are so careful with everything they bring in. We've voted sometimes on allowing them to send pieces to different places for exhibit, but you guys, they make sure everything is shipped correctly and everything, and they do that.
That's definitely Chris.
That's definitely Chris again. Thank you again, Chris. All right, thank you so much.
Yeah,
I really appreciate this. Fantastic. Thank you, guys. Okay, now I guess we're running back up to student outcomes. Is that right? Okay, I on the agenda, the student outcomes. The first one is Taos Middle School, my new school. Principal, Linda Martinez.
Good evening, Vice President Spring, members of the board, Dr. Dayton, Anna Veronica, colleagues and community members. So a lot of what you see on here, you have seen in your board report, but I really want to focus on the student outcomes and how much these assemblies that we started to do again this year have meant to not only myself and the staff, but to the students. So Go ahead, Maria. So, the second week of the semester, we had, actually, yeah, it was the second week of the semester, we had an awards assembly for the second quarter. So here you can see pictures of the students who, had 4.0 or better and 3.5 to 3.9 GPA. So total, it looks like we had 77 students who made honor roll. With that, Ms. Maria and her IT department, swapped out computers for each one of those students who made honor roll. So now they have a brand new Chromebook, a touchscreen Chromebook that they were really excited to get. When I made the announcement during the assembly, their faces lit up, kids looked at each other. I had kids coming up to me afterwards saying, I made honor roll and you didn't call my name. And I was like, you didn't make honor roll, here's the list. And so they were wanting, you know, they were excited about it. So hopefully they have that want to pursue better grades for this quarter so they can obtain a new Chromebook. So our middle of year iReady testing, we did this right before break. The little chart that you see on the side, instead of putting percentages of where they're at, I thought I would do just show you how much they increased or declined. In tier 1 and 2, we always want to see growth there. And in tier 3, we always want to see a decline. You can see in math, we went down in reading. In sixth grade, we went down, but everything else we grew and we declined where we needed to. Even though those numbers are low, because they are 4%, 2%, that's not too many. I want to focus on the students where it says 124 students met their halfway mark for their typical annual growth in math iReady. So these 124 students, they went up, they have a certain growth, they have to have 100% growth. That's their goal. And 124 of them made 50% or better. So each one of those students who made that growth, they all earned a certificate. The reason this is important, and I had staff members saying, really, you're gonna call each one of these kids up individually one by one? And I was like, yes, I am. Because it's important that a lot of these students could be at 2nd grade level and went to 4th grade level. Or they were at 5th grade level and went to 6th grade level and they're an 8th grader. It's important to recognize their achievements because they're probably the ones that never get recognized. We had a little bit of a battle of those students who are already proficient, didn't meet their 50% because it's harder for them to reach that goal because they're already proficient and they were the ones sitting in the bleachers watching all these students receive a certificate. But I think it was important in both ways and the kids again are really excited. Each one of those certificates are not just, write their name and it's the same one. I specifically went in and put how much growth for each kid had actually made, and each one of those are individually made. So to your reading, the next slide, Maria. This one's a little bit better. Growth was higher, and as you can see, 168 students met their halfway mark. So again, I'll reiterate how important it was for some of those students to come down and receive those awards. Next one. Last week or January 15th, last Tuesday, we had not had an honor society, a National Junior Honor Society in a couple of years. And Rebecca Roger, our counselor, took on the role of sponsor. And we had our first induction in a couple of years, so 14 students. So we had 77 students who made honor roll, but these 14 students are the students who committed and took a pledge to practicing those 5 pillars of honor society, which are service, citizenship, leadership, scholarship, and character. Attendance. So these are pictures of our students for 2nd quarter. We have 14 students who made perfect attendance for the 2nd quarter. 2 of those students which are pictured right there, they had perfect attendance for the full semester. So they haven't missed a day. We had 5 staff members for quarter 2 who had perfect attendance. You'll see them right there. One of them isn't there because he's our custodian that has a split shift, so he wasn't there during the day, but he did get a certificate and a gift card from the staff. And then 2 staff members, again, also had perfect attendance this semester.
So attendance tiers, currently we have 344 students enrolled at Taos Middle School. Right now, these are where they fall in attendance. So in tier 1, we have 137 students who fall under this tier. That means that they have missed 5 to 9 days of school this school year. We have 49 students in tier 2, they missed 10 to 19. Tier 3, which is 20 to 35 days, we have 16 students. And we have 17 students who are in tier 4, which means they missed 36 plus days.
Actually, the numbers are off.
Oh, they're off. So this is our attendance. This is our attendance.
So your tier 2 are 10 to 15.
Oh, 10 to 15, okay.
15 to 20, and then tier 4 is 20 and over.
Okay, I'm sorry, so those are a little bit wrong, but the numbers of students in the tiers are correct. So these are the things that actually, Ms. Rodriguez is doing as our attendance coach. She is having, so anybody who has been in a tier 3 or 4, she has had parent meetings with these students present in the school. I believe there's been a couple that have been over the phone, but she brings the parents in, they go over goals. She does this with the students individually. What are your goals? What are some of the reasons you're not getting here to school? How can we support you, and what are some interventions? And those things are being implemented as we speak daily. Right now, if you are in a tier 3, you are getting referred to team court with the county. And as of, I think last week, 8 students had completed the program, 9 students did not comply, and 2 students are in the program right now and it's pending. And then, if you are in tier 4, you get JPO referrals. We have 4 students who, we have met with at the school with JPO representation. Again, that's just another way for, the community to see how they can support the students. What does this child need? What does the parent need? And they're checking in with these students on, I don't know if it's weekly or bi-weekly, but they do check in with them, and then they visit the school. They're in contact with Ms. Rodriguez often. Go ahead. So activities, we have tons of them going on. There's a few pictures of some things that are happening, positive things. We have Taos Middle School Lifesavers class that meets every Friday. That's instructed by our nurse Benita Lobato and Christina Mares. And they are teaching them, you can see the pictures on the left-hand side going down. They are doing glucose testing on us. So they're pricking our fingers and checking to see what our blood sugar was. They're learning CPR. At the end of this class, they will be CPR certified and first aid. They have people coming from the community. They have the ambulance coming, and they just do many things. I think you can see them practicing CPR in that middle picture. We also have a newly started Russian language group that is meeting every Thursday in our library with Mr. Gilroy. They've only met twice, but it's fairly new and he has a good group. STEAM Club is meeting every Wednesday after school, and today Mr. Gilroy told me that they're going to be meeting on Thursdays as well. Those are the pictures that you kind of see to the left. Those students started off with, I think, 7 kids, and now he has a full class of 30 kids, and they are working, and they hear about it, and more kids just keep coming. So I don't know if we could need a bigger classroom, a bigger space for these guys. Ski Club is happening every Thursday. Boys basketball is currently taking place at the end of the month. 6th grade students will be going to the Taos Youth and Family Center to visit the Explore expedition, exhibition, right? Yeah. Science fair will happen in late February. We will let you all know when that takes place, so you guys can hopefully come and help judge it. And then we have after school tutoring. So I stand for any questions. Questions, comments from anyone? Go ahead.
Appreciate President Spring. So with the 4 kids that are being referred to in regards to JPO, the families are meeting too, right?
Yes, the families, myself, Mr. Chavez, our assistant principal, Ms. Rodriguez, and some teachers even come in to these meetings, and it's just a sit-down conversation. What's going on? Why aren't you getting there? What do you need from us? It's very informal. It's not, they don't have formal JPO. It's informal. It's just a way of support. It seems to be working okay, right? Yes, I'm fine. Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes. Anyone else? Questions, comments? Very thorough report. Thank you. Good job. Thank you. Excited to hear. Okay. Another adopted school. School in my district. Here, Dr. Anthony Medina is going to give a report on Arauga Elementary.
Good afternoon, Vice President Thomas Burley, member of the board, Dr. Layton, House Faculty Leadership, and Council Committee. Thank you for your hospitality, thank you for the food, thank you for welcome to come to your place, appreciate that. Some things we're doing at Wilson North End, real proud. We are actually starting our robotics club, third year, we've had it. And we've had an engineer from Solomon Swan, Industrial Lab, who's been spearheading the actual project. But this year's theme is engineering design. So we try to use in our program, but not only talk about it, but actually implement some of the actual educational and foundational pieces of robotics. And students are sort of developing their own robots. The robots will be able to accept commands from students. And they'll be computer generated, so students are able to kind of build from scratch, develop them, and actually utilize them, and then we'll have an assembly where they can actually tell, show the rest of the staff and students that they do. This year too, we have installed last year, we started 2 critter camps on our campus. We have a really nice campus. We have a nature trail, and we did one today. It's kind of animal life in the morning, so we put 2 critter camps up 2 years ago. And we study every single morning, so we noticed that during the time we had a critter camp, water up during the springtime and some hay during the winter, but we noticed some animals being attracted: squirrels, skunks, an American badger, bobcats, porcupines, red fox, coyotes, deer, a mountain lion, even black bear. And we have our students study these animals. They do exist in our community. They've been there since we've been there. And so we want to make sure we honor them, we understand them, and how to best kind of live with them on our campus. And so it's a wonderful thing that we have that type of environment for our students, and to kind of talk about not only in books, but actually see them on camera. It's beautiful. And students study them during their science period and science time at school. Also, we have a building awareness with regards to social media and telephones and cell phones at school. And so we work with our students to kind of divert their attention from social media and using cell phones to actually working with True Kids One, who's teaching students, parents how to avoid some of the potential hazards of social media traps. And so we partner with the DEA Education Foundation, who's actually offering basketball for kids after school. And actually we'll be doing Flamingo in 2 weeks with athletes. Imagine world-renowned Flamingo artists from Albuquerque will be coming to our school to help our students to learn the actual culture of Flamingo. So we have a great appreciation for True Kids, and also teaching kids that there's more to life than just social media, but we can also use physical activity to divert our attention. With regards to our assessments, we do take them very seriously, and I meet with teachers weekly. And part of the thing we do is that most of it we learn with our teachers and talk about the standards that students are going to be exposed to with ELA, math, and science. But we also know it's important that students understand the standards. So every classroom that we have in school, kindergarten through 5th grade, has a common core standards that are aligned, so students know where the standards are coming from, where they come from. They know the ELA, they know the math and science. And with regards to those things, we also have, next slide please, the vocabulary that comes along with them. So in the classroom, the teachers have written down the vocabulary, the word walls that students use to really become aware of vocabulary, the properties of vocabulary, and how that vocabulary is intertwined within assessments, or even within their own homework they do daily. So vocabulary becomes really important. So that's ELA vocabulary. The next slide will show you the math vocabulary. And so, you know, I think going back to the days about math is always thought as 2 + 2, 6 and 7, but math has really changed quite a bit, and it's more vocabulary driven. So we have to make sure the students, as they transition into the middle school level, and even high school at that point afterwards, they have the vocabulary they need to be successful at the classwork, assessments, or even the way they speak to the teacher with regards to finding solutions to problems or what have you. Next slide. This year and last 3 years, we've done data assemblies of students. We want not only our teachers to understand how data is driven our students' success, but also the students. So in this graph, we have every single name of every 5th grade students we have at our school. And what we've done, we compared the data they had for beginning of the year assessments and middle of the year assessments. And we see the trends where they have improved, where challenges lay.
So now teachers understand what they need to do in order to really drive instruction, so it's focused. So every student that needs a certain type of help in some of the actual areas of ELA or math or science, they'll be able to understand exactly what student needs it. So it's actually driven by science. And we know the students are improving because we know where they need help at. So this is the type of graphs I meet with teachers. We meet with each teacher. I talk with student, and then we have data centers with the students. So they understand where their challenges are, their strengths are. And we find the students are use cooperation and collaboration to help each other. And we know that between the teacher, the students helping each other, and also interventionists and having our activity teachers help, we know that we're making gains when we need to and helping students where they need help. Our attendance, it's been a big focus for us this year. And be education for many years. One of the areas of LOC is that during the second half of the fall semester, we see students who get sick quite a bit. There's students that leave town. There's all types of things that happen to our attendance drop a tiny like 1 percentage point, but we're close to that 92% that we have right there. There are students that we measure weekly, and we know who students are. We develop plans with regards to this. Polymer cases help us quite a bit. Develop plans individually for students and parents who are coming through the meeting fire bless them, and develop a plan so that when they come late or there's a either someone happy, we're able to help them so they have an understanding what we can do in the school to help parents understand that yes, attendance is important, but also want to get kids to school safely. So that's how we measure our attendance, and we're very happy to have a good attendance coach as well. I'm not going to attendance things we do. We meet with our attendance coach twice monthly. The last week there was January 24th at 2:30, 3:30, and some of the things we go over are we talk about specific students in classes. We were making sure teachers are making phone calls to parents, and we're also following up with certain those details. I've taken on the role doing tardies in the morning, so I know students are coming in late, so it actually helps me to talk to parents. And so it's actually very helpful to talk to parents, and we have an understanding. So parents they feel free to speak to me with regards to attendance and tardies, what have you, because they're also set the attendance standards as well. We know with 12 families who have been on the tier 3 level, which means they missed over 10 days. And so these parents have to understand sometimes kids get sick. Sometimes parents are also sick too, so we try to work with them as best we can to bring down the level of tardies and to raise the level of attendance at our school. Okay, some of the programs we have going on. We also do food distributions twice monthly. We distribute 300 pounds of food to our needy families, and they're very happy that we have that program at our school. We do have our avid assembly, but we do measure attendance, we measure citizenship and academics, and students are graded upon these, and we're given certificates, and it's a very common for students who receive it. 27% of our students received perfect attendance this semester, 9 weeks, and the very first 9 weeks we had 20%. The second 9 weeks we had 27%, so we're seeing an increase in perfect attendance, and we do honor students who have that. We also have partnered with the Taos Alive and DA, which I mentioned earlier, Education Foundation, to continue our basketball program at Flamingo this year. We also do we have a winter festival. We have a great PTA. We have not had a PTA in the Rose and North since 2013, and this is the first year we've had them. So they've been wonderful at presenting program for students. This winter festival, they showed the Grinch inside the gym. We laid all the mats out, and we had parents come in, and the PTA made hot chocolate and popcorn, but it was fantastic to parents and kids come in and enjoy school. It's supposed to be challenging, but it's also be fun too. So we want to bring the fun in school, so kids want to come to school, but also challenging. So it's kind of a Jedi mind trick for them. So we're getting to the point where we're getting to this. So it's a fantastic place to be. Also, tell some kids also looking at parents to help parents understand what methods of ES, SEL that they can use when students come to school. They're not really ready for school yet. And so we teach parents what they can do at home before they send students to school, prepare their minds or bodies to be ready for school. So we have a good foundational piece that teachers at school are really well-rounded as a family. We're a bunch of huggers, and we love to touch kids and hug them and kiss them and, give them all the kind of reinforcement they have. And students will respond to being loved in the morning. So I really want to make sure that the board and our community members know that when the kids come to the school, they're very happy. And sometimes they don't come to school happy. We actually take the time to find out what's going on in their lives, and they do appreciate that. And I know that makes a big difference. So I stand for any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Medina. Any questions, comments? Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's great to hear that you guys are giving hugs and smiles. It's very encouraging because, we know there's different ways kids, are coming or not coming to school. If they're being acknowledged. I appreciate that. That's huge.
Thank you.
Yes,
I also wanted to, talk about the ELA and math vocabulary. I think that's super important for the students to, understand a little bit of what the adults are talking about on some level and strive, to understand the language. And overall, I think vocabulary is super important on how we articulate ourselves and our needs and everything. And so for the students to be learning that at an earlier age is great.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
I want to say that, when I was driving up, I was, that quarter in, through town. And, it's very narrow, and there was a couple coming, he was carrying his child. And then the mother was behind, carrying another child. And I thought it was so cool, that I don't know why, I just smiled at him, and he waved. And I thought, it's amazing what a smile will do. So just sometimes I think we should practice. I know we're busy, we're stressed, and have a lot on our mind, and we're distracted by so much, but it's amazing what a smile will do for the children, but for each other.
Even something as simple, good morning, when kids go to school, it makes a big difference just to be able to acknowledge people and to make it feel special. It makes a big difference in how people in school. It's a very big difference, it's a difference maker.
Yeah, we should practice that. Thank you.
Thank you
for doing that.
Thank you.
So much.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Board had campus reports for review. Dr. Layton, would you like to say anything about
I want to commend our principals. I did change the template a little bit as part of feedback from the board to be centered around our foundational goals, strategic plan. And so I want to commend our principals for working through the change of template. So I do want to commend them on that.
Yes, you guys did a great job on these reports. Does anyone on the board have any questions or comments for any of the schools?
No,
They're fast, they're so great to read. Thank you all. I know they're hard. I know he really likes to do it, but it's so helpful for us to get an overview without the alternative is we will all come visit you every week and I don't do that. Yes, board member King.
Miss Emmy, I hope your son's doing okay. We missed you last week and I heard he was involved in a ski accident and our prayers are with him and you as well, but being there for him, so.
Thank you so much. And I'm sorry that I wasn't here to acknowledge our board members, but I heard it went really well and I saw some amazing pictures. So just thank you all for everything that you do for all of our schools. We greatly appreciate you guys and we value the work that you do. And thank you he's doing great. He's healing. Dad, he can't go skiing, but that's okay.
That's so great. Great news. that it's
Yeah,
better.
hope he's okay. So,
All right, if you do have any questions that you read through, I know Dr. Layton wants to hear from all of you. Good questions, so shoot them his way. All right, next we have the superintendent report with Dr. Antonio Layton Jr.
Vice President Spray, members of the board, again, going along with, just updating our templates. The report will be based around the foundational goals of our strategic plan. And so looking at the first slide, we're gonna go ahead and work at looking at our district enrollment. So again, as we move on through the year, for obvious reasons, the more data we put, the little tinier to get, and it gets a little bit harder to see smaller numbers. So what I did was make sure that from the last board report to see what our enrollment was up to today. And so at the last December 4th, we had 1776 of enrollment. And as you can see through the week, we saw a small decline towards the end of the year. And then we saw an increase at the beginning of our second semester. And so we are currently sitting at 1780, and I did do my math to make sure twice.
Good.
Yeah. So we are,
We don't make the same price, do we?
we are at +4 students, at least for now, so we are increasing. And of course, we're hoping to keep that momentum building. We do want to promote all the good things that we are doing at the district and some of the things that we're working on to improve so that we can help increase our student enrollment. Up next, for foundational goal 1 student achievement, we're gonna look at our district attendance. So if we look at our attendance going from week 17, I will say the reason you don't see week 16 is because week 16 was actually, Thanksgiving week, so there was nobody going to school. Yeah, but from week 17 through the end of the year, we saw a steady number at 87%. We did see a decrease as the second semester rolled around, from 85 to 84, but our overall ADA is still remaining at 88%, and that 88% is taking all the numbers from the very first week all the way to what would be week 21, but the second week of the second semester. And so what I did ask is to see if our attendance coaches could speak a little bit about specifically what some of the things that they're doing, some great things they're doing to address some of our attendance. If you can go back. I'm open the floor to Ms. Carla, who can then introduce our attendance coaches.
So thank you, Dr. Layton, Vice President Spray, members of the board, tribal government and community members. I'm here again to share all the work that we've been doing with our attendance, and we do have a presentation. So I'll give Maria an opportunity to pull that up. But we've been working really hard this year to streamline and standardize the attendance protocols for all of our attendance coaches. We meet every other week and we discuss challenges, we identify protocols, we look at what our state regulations are and our district policies, and then we share that as a team and then identify what our goals are moving forward. So I just want to briefly provide an overview of what we've done at the district level to address our attendance needs. Maria, if you can go to the second slide. So one of the things that we completed was a site self-assessment for each one of our school sites. Our attendance coaches went back and worked with their attendance teams at the site, their administrators, their staff members, and parent representatives, whoever sat on that attendance team. And we did an evaluation of where we were and how well we were meeting our goals for attendance. And then we're in the process of completing a district self-assessment, looking at some district goals and how we can improve that moving forward. We've identified district policies and procedures that support our attendance coaches so that everybody's on the same page. We all understand what the expectations are, but then also what are the barriers that our staff have, our parents and our coaches have in order to do the work that they're tasked with. We've also defined and implemented district-wide protocols. So how do we identify students in each tier? How do we communicate with families? How do we communicate with staff members? So that regardless of which school site you are attending, you're going to receive the same supports, whether you're at Ranchos, Arroyos, Enos, the middle school, the high school, Taos Cyber Magnet, they're all doing the same thing. We've aligned the procedures, that's okay, thank you. The procedures at each site. Some of these little procedural pieces have a huge impact on our attendance data and how we're collecting that. We want to make sure that everybody's on the same page about what our rules from the state are, our district policies, how do we address when a substitute sitting in the classroom and attendance is entered into PowerSchool correctly and in a timely fashion. We've also talked about communication with parents and other staff members and how do we log that information in Panorama, which is our logging system. We looked at funding. Unfortunately, attendance is one of those unfunded mandates from the state. And so the district, through Associate Superintendent Mondragon, Superintendent Layton, and Ms. Tanya, my maestra, have helped us find funding for our attendance coaches. One of the things that we mentioned earlier is that recognition of improving your attendance is super important for our kids. So rewards, stickers, incentives, things like that. We've worked to try and identify a funding source for all of our coaches so that we know that that money is set aside. Review district policy and state policy, making sure that we become the experts. So if anybody has a question, we can answer that. We also share our understanding with each other so that we're all on the same page when we're explaining something. Professional development, we have identified some areas where our coaches might be lacking that knowledge because of the training that wasn't provided. So we're filling in those gaps. Accurate attendance records is step number one. So our coaches are working with our staff to make sure that we have those records. They review it, I review it, report that to Dr. Layton. That's kind of our protocol. And then our district data is reviewed regularly. We're looking at revisions that we potentially need for our attendance policy to be aware of and sensitive to the needs of our community. And then also, we are working with the Lore Foundation to see if we can receive some funding to host an attendance summit for the community. I think one of the critical pieces for attendance and understanding shifting mindsets is that our community, our employers, our doctors, our business owners all understand what our issues and concerns are and how they can support us and how we can communicate with them to build that community of support. So I just want to share with you who our attendance coaches are at Taos High School, who has the most experience and is not officially an attendance coach, but definitely provides a huge amount of guidance. Is Ms. Misha Etheridge, and recently hired. She is the backbone for all of our attendance work and gives us that historical perspective. And recently hired Miss Sarah Frazier. Taos Middle School is Miss Anita Rodriguez. Taos Cyber Magnet, Miss Mari Chavez serves as lead teacher, attendance coach. She does it all, but she is the one who directly communicates. At Enos Garcia Elementary, we have Mr. Darrell Fell, who is with us as well. And then serving both Ranchos Elementary and Arroyos is Miss Sandy Trujillo, who was not able to join us this evening. With that, I would like to give our attendance coaches the
ask them to stand, please?
Oh, they're going to present.
Okay.
So with that, I'm going to give them the opportunity to share what they're doing at their school sites specifically to help address our attendance needs. Mr. Spell, you are first.
Sweet. Good evening, board members. Thank you, Taos Pueblo, for hosting us. This is a beautiful venue. Thank you for having us. So my name is Darrell Spell, for those of you who have not met me as yet. I'm the attendance coach at Enos Garcia. So some of the things that we're doing at Enos Garcia, this slide is actually out of order, but it's okay. We have a protocol where our student of the month, they get their picture taken in front of our, I guess you could call it marble wall. And after they've done that, they go out into our hallway where this is actually posted, and they write the reasoning behind why they come to school every day. So if you can go back to that first slide, I'm so sorry. So a lot of our students are very, very honest. So our friend Christian says his mom made him come to school every day. So he asked me if he could write that. I said, yes, the truth, write it.
Yes.
I have another student who was very honest. He told me if he didn't want to come to school, he wouldn't, but he comes because he wants to. Can he write that? I said, go for it. So next slide, please. So we also start with our modeling of coming to school every day, and that starts with our staff. So one of the things that we try to make sure that our students are aware of is that we honor them every day that we're in the building. So we try to show them how we honor them by being there every day. So one of the things that I wanted to recognize our staff for is that in September, they actually earned the highest staff attendance award. So we were very proud of our staff. We had some writing on there I couldn't actually read, so I wasn't aware of what it said on that part. But next to our highest staff attendance, we also do our recognition wall, and this is for all staff members. So each month we pick 2 staff members, and this is actually done by other staff members, not by administrators. This is random staff members. We pick 2 sheets and we just give them to random staff members, and they pick another staff member to recognize. So we take their picture and we also put it in the wall, on the wall next to the student of the month. And we explain to the students, to stop by the wall and read why they're recognized. So those papers that are under their pictures, actually explain why they're on that wall. If you could go to our next slide, please. This is the actual wall I was talking about for our student of the month. So I kind of call it our Marvel wall. Some of the kids refer to it as our Spider-Man wall. So they take a picture in front of this wall, holding the trophy and their certificate. I actually print these out in color and I send them home with them at the end of that month. So they get to take this home and put it on their refrigerator or give it to grandma or my grandpa or whoever they want to. So that has been working very well. Our students are very excited about having that and being able to show their family members that part of what they're contributing to their educational future. Thank you, guys.
That's great. We've all heard about you, now we know who you are.
Good evening, Vice President Spray, members of the school board, Superintendent Dr. Lane, and members of the community. So I'm Anita Rodriguez, I'm the attendance coach for Taos Middle School. So when I took on this job, one of the first things that I wanted to find out was what are the barriers that our families and our students are running into? Like, what are the things that kind of keep them from coming to school? So one of the main things that we run into is lack of transportation. And even though kids have access to the buses, some kids live far from the bus. And that's one of the issues that we do tend to find with our Native American students, is that when they don't, because they live far from their bus stop. So in cold weather, or if they don't have a ride to the bus, that's when they miss out on attendance. So that's one of our main things in our community. The second one is parental support and involvement. So we do find that sometimes parents aren't involved with kids attending school, or it's not important, and it's sometimes a generational thing. Another thing with kids at the middle school is a lack of sense of belonging. So sometimes they don't want to go to school because they feel like they don't belong there, or they're having a hard time just fitting in. And that's for the next one, difficulty with their relationships with peers. And then educational loss or feelings of being behind in school. So sometimes they do like an avoidance thing where it's easier to miss school than actually go to class and ask for help and get the things that they need to. And all of these came from conversations that I've had with students and parents. The next one is, one of the main ones is staying up too late and having a difficult time getting up in the morning. So kids are staying up on their cell phones, playing games till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and then they're trying to get up at 6 o'clock to come to school, and it's hard. Illness has been a big one. And so now that we've had that stomach bug, COVID, the flu, I mean, just, so that's a big indication on why our attendance sometimes is bad. Out of town appointments, and then family environment or financial struggles. So again, we have kids that sometimes are gonna lose their housing, their families are gonna lose housing. So they're in the transition of figuring out, do they have housing? Where are they getting housing? They're homeless at the time, living in vehicles. So that's a big barrier for students and the families in our community. Another one that's not there that I forgot is suspensions. So when students are getting suspended, that also adds to their absences in attendance. So, okay, so this is just kind of from all the conversations. The things that I've talked about with students and with parents, these are the things that have improved the attendance to this point. So one of the things is a consistent attendance coach. So kids are always telling me, well, nobody tracked me last year. And I'm like, well, tried, but you know. And so having just somebody consistently meeting with them, having somebody that they can consistently come see and check in with, like today, I had a kid that just kind of popped in and he goes, what number am I at for my absences? So I said, well, let's see where you're at, you know, so having that consistency. The teen court or the JPO referrals, just thought of them hearing, okay, if you hit to this certain point, we're gonna put in a teen court referral. And so just kind of the thought of that, they think, oh, I don't wanna go to court, and it's not court, but to them, they believe it's court. JPO, you know, even though we explained to them it's informal, it's for family assistance, but they work really hard to not get those referrals. So when we work on their goals and their plans, the whole point, like everyone, their goal is always, I want to get a referral to teen court or JPO. So that's what their goal is. The attendance improvement plans, that's something that I really started to tackle this second semester. And so pulling the kids in individually that are our tier 3s and tier 4s, or those that are at the higher end of tier 2, and starting those individual attendance improvement plans. And they come up with their plan. They tell me what are their barriers, what are the things they need to focus on, and then they set up their goals, not just for attendance, but then we also set up like academic goals, and they come up with the solutions that they can try to do to improve on their plan. And then with that, what I do is I copy the information from their attendance plan, and then I'm emailing it to the parents so that the parents are aware of their kids' goals, like for what tier they're at, their absences, and how can they support their student in their attendance plan. Or if we have a parent meeting, we'll develop this plan with the parent in the room. So just kind of depending on the situation. Another thing that we started with a few kids is peer attendance accountability. So I have 2 8th grade girls that really struggle to come to school. And so, but they're best friends. So what we did was I paired them up. They came up with an accountability plan for each other. So now they're calling each other in the morning. One wakes up earlier, so she's like, I will call her every day at 6. So they're calling. And then they agree to video chat when they're both leaving their houses to make sure that the other one. And one day, one of the girls did show up, so the other one was there. Let's call her, where is she? So that seems to kind of work with some of the kids if they have that person that we can pair them up with. When the parents, when their support improves, so they're having conversations with parents, and again, it's not across the board, but when parents kind of get on board with the kids' plans and they work on what are the strategies that we need for the kids, how can you support their kid? When that mentality shifts in the parents, that's where we're seeing the biggest improvement for all the kids. Referrals to social work or counseling services, and also TBH. So we utilize them if there's families in need of different things, or kids that are struggling with peers or just anything. So referring them to our counselors and our social workers. Some of the kids, part of their motivation is some of their classes. So they look forward to some of their classes. So we make that as one of their goals to try to come to school. So looking at, okay, if you like art, or you like, you know, industrial arts, or some people, a lot of our 7th graders really enjoy our New Mexico history class. And so that's a class that they look forward to. Peers at school, they love to come see their friends. They go, why come? Because to see my friends and to hang out with them at lunch. Okay. Additional parental contact by teachers, admin, and office support staff. So not just that I'm calling, but teachers and everybody else is making those contacts as well to try to get the kids to school. And then our tiered letters, we are sending out tiered letters. The tier 1 is our lower level, but I've noticed that those have made the most difference, because a lot of parents, when they get that tier 1, they start kind of panicking because it says, okay, if your kid continues to miss, you know, these are the consequences. So we're getting those phone calls right away so that parents are checking in. So, so that does help. Like Ms. Martinez had presented the assemblies, the award assemblies, and doing the incentives for them. Those have made a difference for the kids as well. So these are the things that have improved so far. Go ahead and go. So I kind of ran a chart, and there's a lot of numbers, but I'm actually just going to go to this bottom one, or the last column. And so this was at this point last year, this was where our grades and our overall school were at on attendance. So last year, our 6th graders were at 85.8% of attending school. 7th grade was at 85.6%. And then 8th grade was at 87.04. As a school, last year, we were at 86.18% of kids that had attended the majority of our school days. And that was at 98 days, was around this time. Go ahead, go to the next one. So if you look at our numbers right now, so this was actually as of today, our 6th graders are currently attending 90.78% of our school days. Seventh grade is 87.08, and then eighth grade is 87.3. So it is, it's not a big jump, but it is a jump. And then our overall is 88.3%. So we have improved by a little bit over than 2% from last year of our overall attendance for kids. And so the nice thing about, I guess, my position is that I'm getting to know a lot of the kids, a lot of the families, and finding out what are the things that they need. And so what's been nice is to work with Ms. Galavina, that's the native Leonze, because we're able to work hand in hand and see where our Native American students are struggling. And one of the things is the transportation is the main thing. And because of that result, that's where they struggle sometimes academically. And so that's something that we need to kind of work on. I've also been working with Ms. Antonia Lujan for the table class, and also with Ms. Mary Alice. And so I've been kind of teaching them how to look at the panorama, look at kind of the graphs, kind of pull the data. So like when they have to make presentations to their tribal board, they have those numbers and they can kind of represent their Native American kids. So, okay. Any
Questions? Go ahead.
I compliment the district and all you guys are being very creative, because we do hear from the principals about you guys. It's great to see you. Happy New Year. And I know when I was dating myself, but going to school, I don't think there was an attendance coach. It was so that you guys are relieving the administrators from doing, you know, that wearing any hats.
Yeah.
And it's great. So it sounds like to me, the kids are like, they're, and one thing I don't see, they're all going through the big P. Puberty, and that's a tough time for the kids.
Yeah.
Middle school, I heard, is harder
It
than.
is hard. It's hard for them, and they struggle with many aspects of middle school, and there's so many pieces that affect their attendance that we don't know about. Sometimes we just see it as, well, they're just not showing up to school, but there's so many other pieces to it, especially for middle school, because that's where all the changes happen. And so there's so many different dynamics that are occurring, that are some of them are in their control, but some of them are out of their control. And so trying to figure out those pieces to kind of assist them the best way that we can.
And how about the True Kids One? I think, you were talking about that, right, Commissioner Medina? With the cell phones, maybe at the beginning of the school year, you guys have, every student is getting a handout about the use of cell phones, you know.
Yeah.
Summertime's over, this is the appropriate, 2 hours max.
Yeah, yeah.
Because, you know, you nailed
The
it.
kids stay up late, they do, the majority of them, they aren't going to bed on time, and they struggle, and they're the first ones to admit it. They'll say, I just don't go to bed, I stay up till late, or they'll say, I just don't feel like coming. I mean, the kids are honest, that's the thing, they're honest, and so it's been nice to work on these plans, because they're very honest about the things that they need, but they're also very honest on the things that are, that they're doing, that are also holding them back, but then they're honest about their goals.
There's no filters with these kids.
No,
They live in a real world and they're seen as such.
yeah.
But sometimes I think we need to learn to listen, because sometimes we just don't want to hear what they're saying. And it's not the usual norm that they're facing, really, really drastic. And things that are impacting their lives. And these are the very foundational times of their lives that are going to prepare them for the high school.
Yeah.
And for their future. And I thank you so much. It's a good.
Oh, one
good day.
I forgot that we utilize to a lot that has helped parents is the Taos Community Schools. So we've been able to give parents and students resources from the Taos Community Schools, especially some kids that have been in that transition from moving either houses, or they're in the transition from losing their house to becoming homeless, things like that. So they've been a big asset to us as well in helping with this.
So you're.
Yeah.
Grown.
Yeah.
Ms. Rodriguez, have you been with the middle school since the beginning of the year? Is that when you've been on? Oh, nice. Okay. Thank you so much. You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
This part, so I'm just gonna quickly talk about Taos Cyber Magnet. We at Taos Cyber Magnet have a very tight protocol for attendance. Ms. Monty Chavez works with our students, and if they have not reported to school by 7:45, she communicates directly with the students and the guardians where are you, what's going on. We are blessed that we have a very small school environment with 16 students, she's able to do that. But it is something that has been very helpful for our students and our guardians to know, why aren't you at school? What's going on? So that is one of our morning protocols and has been one of the biggest pieces in making sure students attend regularly. We've identified, as Ms. Rodriguez pointed out, barriers to transportation, social, emotional, illness, whatever it is. And we work very closely with our site team to provide those resources. As such a small school, we lean heavily on our district administrators to fill in those pieces. And so for our Native American liaison, we go to Ms. Ray Lujan. We use our other district administrators to fill in and coordinate. Ms. Lynn Brasher helps us with our Expro components. So it's really this joint effort with our district administration to fill in some of those gaps because we don't have those positions designated within the school site. We do a bi-weekly review of attendance and academic data where we sit down and identify who are the kiddos who need to be contacted. Do we need to have parent meetings? Have we made calls? Have we sent out letters? And then again, we have those parent meetings with our attendance team, whoever we need to pull in, with the parents to identify what the barriers are and then provide, some resources. We don't have a community schools liaison for South Cyber, but, Ms. Victoria Santisteban, and then, the coordinator at, Enos Garcia worked very closely with us. We also have support from Taos High School to provide resources to our students because we don't have one specific to our school site. So, those are all the tools that we're utilizing to try and support our students at Taos Cyber Magden. And then our last presentation is going to be from Ms. Misha Etheridge, who is representing Taos High School.
Hello, everyone on the board, Superintendent Layton, and thank you for having us here today. And so I am actually not the attendance coach. I am a counselor. I'm the 10th grade counselor, provided for coordinator, the TAC coordinator, sponsor of the class of 2026. And now I am doing the Flex Friday class, which is really exciting. And the reason that I'm kind of giving you the list of things that I'm doing is because we're finding ourselves in education with a lot less people on the floor, and you're all pulling together to like get these things done, you know, to follow up with Carla. And cue in the Instagram thing where you see the dog laying down saying, I don't know, this is how we got here. Well, with the music, I in 2007 was getting my working my bachelor's, and I was doing substance abuse counseling, and I had for my practicum, I went with the JPO, William Romano, and it was the institution of Governor Richardson's attendance and truancy. He was making a lot of noise about it and brought it in, and so I am one of the original truancy coaches from that time, and our funding came through the juvenile justice. It came through this program that they were putting on. So I got to go into the school districts from Mora to Fiasco to Taos and work with the secretaries and teach them how to use the software and to run the letters and to understand what the compulsory school attendance actually meant to the schools and to the students. And then in the next step, help them write the letters. And I think it was ASI or a different program. And then we moved into Power School. Loved it. It was amazing. Got my bachelor's degree, started working through a grant at the charter school, doing the same thing through that grant. And then finished my master's, became a mental health counselor and worked within the community as a counselor. But the call to do attendance kept coming back, and I helped Jim Spevovich, and who was the superintendent at the time for that one? You remember?
So it was Olivia Torres?
No, it was Fort Lillian.
Oh.
Weston, Dr. Weston is the one that we wrote the grant for to get the original truancy coaches into the school.
And so, it was amazing. We had money, we went to conferences, it was awesome. And, so I did that at Taos High, because we thought we'd help them write the grant and then we would be contractors and provide the services to the schools. I was working for, Taos Behavioral Health, which was Nonviolence Works. And, we were informed that it had to be a school employee. So I got my school counselor's license and jumped into being a school counselor, or being a truancy coach at the high school. And, it's the best job in the world. It is amazing because you get to work with the most awesome people, which are teenagers. And, we all know that they're stinky and honest and they only do things that make them feel good and they want to get out of everything. And I know I only have 3 minutes, I'm sorry, but I wanted to give you guys a little background because now the attendance coach position has been zeroed out. And they did it in a really terrible way. They told us we had a 4-year grant and then in year 3, they pulled it out from underneath their feet and said the schools had to fund these positions and it was a shock. And so I was told my job was gone. And so in 2015, or no, what was it, I guess it's been 5 years, I panicked and applied to be the school counselor and was hired. And then 2 weeks later, they're like, oh, look, we got money. So I left my favorite job on the planet where I did over 1,200 parent meetings, worked with 700 students, graduated kids that would have never, that didn't understand what it was to like have this feeling about why the school mattered to me, where's the relevance? Because we're in that tricky time where kids are like, I mean, our society is changing, our morals are changing, everything's changing, our expectations of our children are changing. And that's what we've seen in the last 10 years is these kids are, you know, like, there's just so much that's so big and so much that's so small, and we need to catch up to that, which is what we're trying to do. So here's my quick, wrote today, a little bit real quick. So barriers are and I did research, and I do research every year. I look for what is coming from our community, what's coming from our state, and what's coming nationally, and actually internationally now, because this is not just attendance has become an issue across the world. So what we're seeing is an increase in apathy about school attendance. And just to note, and we can all agree that high school students' attendance and how we approach them is extremely different from middle school and elementary school, because these kids are at the point where they're learning independence, they're driving their own cars, they're not relying on their parents who are taking their siblings to school. So we've got a different animal. An honest animal still a person that's, you know, growing into themselves. We're also seeing that we're at the end of the COVID kids that failed ninth grade. We're at the end of the devastation of like being at home, being alone, isolations, all that stuff that you guys have heard so many times. We're coming to the end of that. We are coming to, last year was and I'm sorry, but the popping of the temple of the COVID bubble. And this year, you know, what we're doing is coming back and being able to start making these connections and realign with these students and to, you know, have our voice as a school, especially at high school. You know, like it's hard, dealing with kids is hard, and especially teenagers. So transportation or housing insecurities, that creates in itself a potential of having low academic functioning because there isn't the support at home. But then we also have some behavior issues, and I'm sure it's been brought to your attention before, but we're seeing more issues than, I mean, I graduated in 1989 to place myself. I had a phone that was stuck to the wall with a cord. I had to borrow my mom's car. You know, like there was so many things. We didn't have a lot of these things our kids have. And they're getting in trouble. They're getting in trouble because I don't think there's a lot of understanding of what those things are. And so that's another area that the high school we've identified and that we're working on very seriously, especially through the support of Miss Emmy. And then mental health and trauma-related issues. As a mental health counselor, I'm an independently licensed mental health counselor. I'm a level 3 school counselor. I have the ability to do clinical assessments, write treatment plans, you know, do all those things, but that's not my scope of practice within the schools. But because I have that experience and I have that knowledge and I have that clinical behind me, I'm able to identify things really quickly
that maybe other people are like, oh, that kid's just doing it on purpose. They're just manipulating you. No, they have a mental health issue. And so I think that has been a big help in like getting kids what they need and also increasing attendance. So bullying has changed. Social media overexposure is something that's, you know, affecting these kids. Think about it. If you're scrolling on your phone nonstop all the time, I mean, like, there's so many things going through your brain. And then we were seeing a higher level of ADHD that could actually be related back to exposing children to media. There's many peer-reviewed articles, I can share them, but it causes an ADHD-like response within the brain. So school can become unbearable to these kids. Okay, next one. Background. So this, when I was doing the research to write our attendance plan this year, this is something that just like really, I mean, just kind of made me like feel just full inside of me. In 2020 to 2021, my second year actually of being a senior counselor, we had a graduation rate of 73.9%. Our chronic absent rate, and I've been doing chronic absences and charting it and providing it to the principal since 2015, because it is important to know what, you know, what's going on with these kids, medical or non-medical, unexcused. Of course, I believe unexcused are more important. 21-22, our graduation rate 71.7%. Our chronic absence rate 39.85. We're coming out of COVID. We're bringing the kids back in the classroom. We got a 70.4 graduation rate. Our chronic absence rate is climbing to 39.85%. Last year, according to New Mexico Vistas, we had a 69.2% and a 57.49% chronic absent rate. So that kind of aligns with everything that I read, everything that we researched about the decrease in parents finding the relevance of why the kid has to go to school. They can do it online. We hear that all the time. Oh, Canvas, we can get in Canvas. Okay, next one. So this is the data from the first 9 weeks. And if anybody knows me in this room, you will know the first thing that comes out of your mouth is, I like color-coded spreadsheets. Oh my God. Yeah, I'm like, oh, let me just read that data for you all right now. So believe me, if I would have had more than today to prepare, you would have a new chart that, and actually if you have it, but I don't want to go through the nightmare. But this is our first 9 weeks. And something that I do is I'm curious. I want to know why, why, why. So we're seeing academic struggles. 99 of the 743 students failed one or more core class within the first 9 weeks of school. All right, that got bigger the second week in some areas and lower. 60% of those students who failed 2 or more core classes also received the attendance warning letters for unexcused absences. 60%, adding the chronic when we did, it's big. 30% of these students have missed 20% or more 9 more days of school out of the 49 days in session. So that's the first 9 weeks. We do have data for the other ones, but this is what I have available. Next slide. So strategies. Miss Emily and I have worked together. We worked together in the counseling office. We had, you know, we've been going back and forth with trying to, you know, like, you know, throwing out the big things onto the table and then taking them back and trying to look at it from different angles. And these strategies, of course, we're hearing a lot of the increasing the teacher attendance, taking third every day, and recognizing perfect and good attendance. Those are things that are important and that, you know, we used to do before COVID. That was a big part of everything we did. It seems like we got shipped up during COVID and came back and we're just like trying to like find our feet again. And I think we found them. I think we're getting there. So Amy has worked really hard to increase the student, family, and teacher engagement. She does a wonderful email, a phone call, everything, you know, like local event, and it's also emailed to us and it's on campus. So many places where there's communication. And also ways of creating parent and teacher communication where the students and parents know how to get a hold of their student, you know, their kids' teachers, their counselors, and software. We have, I mean, think about it, we've got Canvas, we have PowerSchool, we have Naviance, we've got Panorama, and, you know, like we have all these different ways where we're trying to get this data in, but the parents can never say to us that they don't have access to their children's data because we are working so hard to make sure that we are transparent transparent with, they can pull up PowerSchool and look at where their kids exactly. So, and then, we have a community schools coordinator. And, earlier we mentioned the housing, instability. We have 130 students at our high school that qualify for McKinney-Vento out of 739. And that doesn't mean that they're on the streets homeless. That means that they're in situations where they may not have their own bedroom. They're living in multi-generation homes. They're not sure, you know, like maybe their families are one paycheck away from being homeless. That, you know, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you're worried about where you're going to sleep, you're worried about how you're going to eat. It's really hard to pay attention. So our community schools coordinator, Naomi Martinez Standard, she has created a inclusive space where she has food, she has clothes, she has shoes, she has, I mean, just so many things, school supplies, and kids are coming to her because she's open and she's bringing them in, you know, because relationships are everything. And, you know, when I'm working with the peers, the thing that I tell them is remember that a lot of times these kids are not going to remember what you said, but they're definitely going to remember how they felt when they walked away from you. And so I feel like Naomi's really brings that across the kids, and also they're more likely to come to school, right? She does weekend backpacks so they have food they can take home. And then we need to increase teacher retention and attendance. And some of the things that I identified was increasing our culture on campus for the teachers. Our Dean of Students does these amazing, she just has the best idea. She's a water bar, really inexpensive, but so nice. We had ice, we had lemon, we had to leave our, you know, go up and get our little waters, and it was amazing. And I'm like, I wish I had a water bar every day. And community members are bringing in breakfast burritos. So supports, and then also we're looking at our personal learning time. Okay, next. So implementation, like after stepping back, really looking at this with a heart, you know, heart and soul of being a community member, I'm a parent. I have a junior, and I also have adult children that graduated from Taos High School. So I've been in a relationship with Taos High since, oh my gosh, 2008, through my children, whatever. So I'm so many layers. But Carla had a great idea of pulling our kids into, that we have leadership. We've got 40 kids into a peer attendance task force. And these kids are learning about how is attendance important? What is that media that I mentioned earlier, national, state, federal, international, and getting to become attendance awareness experts so that they can support other students. And not just high school kids, but, you know, the middle school kids look up to the high school kids. The elementary kids look up to the high school kids. You know, how can we take this, you know, help ourselves? The best way to learn something is to teach. So, and they're very excited. I've gone in a couple of times and worked with them, and they've got some great ideas. They're working on incentives. Miss Emmy has created the Principals Advisory Council, and they are working on campaigns, are doing great work, and they're also becoming experts on what it means for attendance. Why does attendance matter? What's the relevance? So, and then the next thing is consistent compliance to the attendance policy, encouraging the teachers to take the attendance letters, and populating those, and that meetings are inclusive, informative, and supportive, and that the tiers are met with the minimum required interventions, and that the appropriate referrals are made. So that statement right there is the backbone of what attendance is. I mean, that is what it is, period. Getting the accurate information and making sure that people that need that information have it and they're reporting out. So as you heard in the Council Fire Report Coordinator, SAC Coordinator, blah, 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 blah. I've also been doing the truancy coach because at the beginning of the year, we desperately needed teachers, and we had, our coach was a licensed teacher, and for everything in me, I knew having that man in the classroom with those children was more important than him printing letters, which I can do in my sleep. So I took that on. I worked at night. I've done meetings in between fire report meetings, meet with parents. Anytime someone calls, I come down, I meet with the families, because that's what we're doing. We're all putting our feet in until we can get
those, and I'm kind of excited to see that we're gonna have a coach coming in. Is that it?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna throw some cliches at you guys really quick. I know, I'm sorry, but graduation starts in kindergarten. It takes a village. And, time travel equals hope, and we can give our kids hope, and that's gonna keep their bottoms in the chairs. Oh, I'm sorry, your questions, I'm sure I asked everything.
Board, anyone has any comments? Member Concha?
I just, want to thank all the attendance coaches. I feel like, there's collective progress happening. I, made some notes of what I wanted to ask and what I think should be happening. One of you talked about, truancy in relation to behavioral health and social determinants, root causes of absenteeism, hierarchy of needs. I think all those are super important and relevant, and having the resources for mental health support, utilizing community schools and addressing these needs. Mentorship is super important. From the older high school kids, even tutoring. I'm a big supporter of after-school programs, and I sit on the board of directors for Rocky Mountain Youth Corps. And when I was, I'm an alumni of Rocky Mountain, we had an after-school program, and we were sending crews into the schools in Rancho Pinos, and that's where it starts. And having that peer attendance task force, I would really like to also see you work close with Taos Pueblo and what they're also trying to do. I know we had a discussion with Ms. Barney today and addressing some of the transportation needs, so partnering with each other on our really high risk, at-risk students and populations. And I know at one time or another, there was conversation around an early warning system. So I'm just wanting to clarify if this tier structure is in place of that early warning system.
It works in kind of, so in Power School, we have an early warning system specifically built into the platform. But then also the work of our attendance coaches can catch students before we even hit that early warning system alert in Power School. So we have programs embedded in the district that identify students who are building up those absences, but then we also have other protocols that we've established that help us identify students earlier and then really identify why they're not coming to school. So there's multiple resources.
All right, so yeah, again, I just want to thank all of you because you guys all touched on pretty much every subject and note that I had made to ask about. And so that, says a lot about how our districts are working together on the progress as far as attendance, absenteeism, and truancy. And, I would like to see a little more collaboration with our Indian Ed program and how, we're getting our Native students as well. How we're meeting Yazzie Martinez goals and all of that. And it's not just for the Native population, it's across the board for our underserved populations, which is the majority of our students, and so it's great to see that community schools is working and there's collaboration. And, it leaves little to no excuses for our parents who are not involved to say, my kid doesn't have a right to school, or they need this, or they need that. And so I think you guys are doing a tremendous job in filling in those gaps with all the resources that are being provided, which were never provided in the schools. Previously, even when I was in school, there's a lot of things in place that, I wish I would have seen. And I think that's how I base a lot of the work that I do with youth is what do I want to see in my community that was never there for me. So, I just want to thank all the effort from all of you.
Thank you, Member King.
If the superintendent's in favor, I would like to, just like we honored the school board members last week, every one of you guys, if you could come together, picture individually, I think the community should see you guys, because we do have a website. You're doing great work. I can't begin to thank you, and it's an honor to be know the daily existence and the connections you're making with the students, I believe that's a game changer. I think we talked earlier in your semester about Rancho's, so Miss Barbara Service, she's there saying hi to the kids, she's engaging and, it's great. So I think you guys, I want to applaud you, stand, jump up and thank you, and thank you.
And jumping.
But if, Vice President Spray, members of the board, if we can, I'll tell you what, let's all take a quick group photo with all the attendance coaches together and the board together.
We are missing two.
At least for tonight.
Right between the apples.
Sit down.
I got it. I follow it's your fault. Just. You ready? 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
So again, my friends, command the attendance coaches, but you can see the hard work that everybody's trying to pull together to teach these kids and going back to remember King Henry Francis Brace, you gotta reach them before you can teach them, right? And so that's exactly what our attendance coaches are doing, reach them out, bring them into the classroom so that we can continue our teaching.
And we can see why the numbers have gone up every month, guys, and you're holding, it's great to put a face and effort, because it's, I'm telling you, it's waking up every day and you guys know the kids who don't have that support at home, so I take off my hat, achieve and embody these little young, learners for life to, the world is ran by those who show up. You guys know that.
Can I say one thing about them? There used to be a time for attendance, there was teeth pulled from that, parents would get in trouble if the kids wasn't there. JPO meant something, JPO had teeth. These guys, I know I need guys, so I can imagine the rest of them are doing it. These guys are pulling out the magic wand and doing whatever they can do to get these kids here. So I agree with you, where they need to be recognized. They are there with them. They're building the relationships. They're building the rapport with the families. They're gaining their trust, and it needs to be known that there's nothing for any firm who can hang on to say, please help us with attendance. They're just hanging on for their life as well, trying to get it. So thank you for recognizing that, because they are just pulling from wherever they can to get these kids here. So thank you, sorry.
As such, I'm sorry.
But what I see is like a bridge, then, like even, I'm sure that the parents are relieved to know that someone is supporting their children, or that there is that lifeline for them, that maybe what they can't do, there's somebody in the middle trying to talk to the children or talk to the kids, encourage the kids, work with the kids, work with them, something that maybe it's not working for them at home. Just, I think all of it is just a big old puzzle that we're trying to put together for the children. Thank you.
So as such, it's time to recognize the campus with the highest student attendance for the month of December, and that is.
Drum roll.
A drum roll.
There you go, Arroyos Elementary. And so, Arroyo's students will be, able to enjoy, of course, it's the weather, right? So my screen, given the whole weather, is coming. All right, next, we have the foundational goal, to educator excellence. We wanted to talk about the highest staff attendance. And so next for the highest staff attendance is Ranchos Elementary. I want to make a special note out that it is 98%, which is a really high percentage. So the staff of Ranchos for this month will be getting burritos. So for their attendance. Up next is foundational goal 3, family and community engagement. And so one of the things I wanted to present to the board as a part of my report is we're working at diversifying all our resources, not just some resources, but diversified resources. And one of the things we've started to look at is creating an alumni educational foundation for Taos Municipal Schools. And so we met with a former grad. I won't say the calendar or what graduation year, right? But we did meet with a former grad in October and December to talk about what ways can we create an educational foundation for the district to help bring and shore up some more money, some more support, I should say, resources for our students and their teachers. And so we are working with a alumni, Horacio Trujillo. I'm not sure
He's in.
He's in, great. And so one of the things that we discussed in these meetings was how can we help support, how can we help build? What can we do to increase the resources? And I think even our tennis coaches mentioned the limited resources that we have, right? And so as such, one of the talking points we talked about is what can we do? So as part of that discussion, we talked about our strategic focus. It allows intentional fundraising dedicated to our education, the schools, and the children allows for strategic setting of ambitious fundraising ambitions to advance our goals. It allows funding for larger strategic educational initiatives and will develop a system level relationships. How about accountability? We'll have clear goals for improving the education of the community in terms of both use of funds, but also expect improvement. Reporting transparency of the funds, engaging directly with educational institutions, former alumni like Notre Dame, Ohio State, you know. I know. But also coalescing leadership and educational priorities in the community. So 100% of those contributions would go into improving our education. And so if we think about it as an overall, how many alumni does Taos High School have, right? And so if everybody was able to just provide, let's say, a small donation, imagine how much resources we can provide our schools and our students, and not to replace, but to supplement, to increase different opportunities. And so we've been meeting together to see if this is a possibility. It would create a small board. Part of that would be 3 of the district representatives, 3 representatives from the instructional staff, 1 at each level, some alumni, of course, we absolutely want alumni, and 2 district partners, especially including 1 from the Taos Pueblo. And so this is just, again, in the phase of discussions, possibilities, but in reality, think about again, how many alumni does our schools have? And how many wouldn't mind giving, 10, 20, whatever the case may be. But I just wanted to present that to the board. I'm gonna go ahead and yield to Mr. Trujillo. Can you hear us?
I can, Superintendent Layton, and I'm here. Let me see.
And what year you graduated, so I'll keep that up to you.
Well, I just want to say hello to everybody and say that I appreciate being here. I appreciate the time, all of the work that you all are doing back there and listening to the work. I'm actually, by back there, I mean back home. I'm in Rome, so I'm joining you from out here at 4:30 in the morning. I've been awake all night until 4:30 right now so that I can join you. What I'd like to do is I'd really like to invite Council Member Keith to say a few words in terms of his thinking. He's actually the one who reached out to me. I have worked around the world assisting organizations, social purpose organizations, businesses, governments, in all sorts of international development, economic development, education, humanitarian work, working on strategy, working on organizational development, but also really with philanthropies and foundations in terms of development. So Keith and I go way back, and so he reached out to me when he and the superintendent and others were brainstorming about this, knowing about a bit of my background and the fact that I'd been thinking about this for some time as well. But let me turn it over to Councilmember Keith just to see if he wants to say anything, and then I'm happy to answer any questions or prompts that you'd like to suggest, Councilmember Keith or Dr. Layton, and really, or other members of the school board. I'd like to have my kind of words here and participation be as useful as possible. So we'd love to just really be responsive.
It was great to see you, Horacio. Happy New Year. Glad you are have a chance to attend. I think you guys know, as our Taos, our community, it seems like we always are like a little short. If you guys don't know, in regards to Horacio Trillo, Horacio is being very modest. He was one of our Rhodes Scholars. I got to know Horacio's family. His mom was a counselor. I used to be part of Rotary, and we would have exchange students that came to our community. So I got to meet his mom. Also, I knew his dad when he was still with us. And our community, and in regards to Horacio, he's being very modest, but most schools and other communities, larger communities, wealthier communities, they have a foundation. They have a school foundation. And this could be really where the rubber meets the road. We hear from our fellow Pueblo members, distance, buses. We see the blue bus. We could have a bus just for the Taos Pueblo that's taking these kids to the bus stop. Well, it's really as high as we can think our thought process of how can we fund the missing parts, the girls' volleyball uniforms, 7th graders, things like this. I know Horacio has a lot more there's been incredible excellence in entrepreneurship, Taoseños who have made it. The ship has come in, many ships have come in, the shipyards, and they're willing to give back if asked. So this is all planning stages, just researching right now, but I talked to a fellow Taos alumni from the high school, and Horacio was given to me with a recommendation that he can help us out. And he hasn't said this, but this is all gratis, guys. This is all pro bono, and that's really where the rubber meets the road. We can get up and going. It's gonna have our fingerprints. I think it's gonna be amazing what we can do. And in regards to the sky is the limit of possibilities, so. All right, Horacio.
Thanks, Councilmember Keith. And let me just say one thing, just to Dr. Layton's point in terms of raising money and how an educational foundation in a community like ours can work. As Councilmember Keith mentioned, these types of foundations exist to support schools within many different communities, much typically larger communities, also oftentimes wealthier communities. But they also exist for universities, for colleges. The idea here is that really being able to reach out, not just to alumni of Taos schools, but then to reach out and use that leverage to reach out to others, that we can raise significant amounts of money specifically for education in the community. As Dr. Layton mentioned, thinking about alumni, if we just take an average of the number of alumni that we might be able to approach from each class year going back 50 years and just say, let's say that's 100 individuals, and 100 individuals multiplied by 50, we get to 5,000. We raise even just 25,000 from each of those individuals. We're looking at a few $1 million a year. We're talking $25 from a number of individuals. from each class going back. And if with a few $1,000,000 that we can raise each year in that fashion, we can then look to leverage that to really large foundations, to strategic foundations outside of the community who are looking for innovative educational efforts and looking to invest in transformational educational efforts. And so we're talking along the lines of whether it's the Hewlett Foundation, or whether it's the Ford Foundation, or whether it's the Gates Foundation or the Aspen Institute, and looking to be able to leverage these types of resources to do exactly what Keith is talking about, but also talking about even bigger ideas, such as a STEM education center, as Superintendent Layton has talked about. Certainly supporting the Tiwa language program, and looking at creating an actual facility for it, and thinking about how to actually improve educational access and educational ability for all students at all levels, to really think about what are post-secondary education opportunities, what are the opportunities for career development in a big way. And so what we'd really like to do here is to engage the community in thinking about this, thinking about what the ambitions are for young people growing up in Taos and what they can do with the education, and how we can actually really leverage the relationships and support with all of the people who have come out of Taos, who are all over the place in the world these days, and making a decent living and able to contribute back. And as Councilmember Keith said, is that we as Taoseños, those of us who grew up in Taos, went to schools in Taos, we are always Taoseños, and we're always looking to give back. We're always looking to support. And so it's not a real far stretch to be able to think about this. Let me stop there again and just turn it back to Superintendent Layton to see if there's anything else he'd like to prompt, or invite questions from others.
And just to let you know that many districts across different states do hold these type of foundations. One of my tasks is to see what else we can do with our limited resources and how we can expand. And so this is a good opportunity. Again, this is just in the discussion phases. Board, we do have a presentation here, PowerPoint of a possible schedule. What I can say, and I don't know if it's just happenstance, but I actually met Horacio, not knowing who he was, when I came to the church here at the Pueblo, and that's why I came across him and his wife and his daughter. And so not knowing we would meet later, but it's a wonderful idea. It's something that would be great to see if we can come to fruition. And again, it's not to supplant or in place of, but it's to supplement the opportunities and other resources that we can provide our future kids,
Thank you, Dr. Layton. Board, any comments or questions for Horacio or for? Horacio, it's such a pleasure to see you, and like Vice President Spray, I've heard about you for so long. Bill Schreiber speaks really highly of you to our board. He spoke highly of you at one point to our board. Thank you so much for staying up. That's just amazing in itself. And also for you obviously put so much thought into this and so much enthusiasm into it, and you inspire confidence. And I think that that's going to be, if this project takes off, it will be greatly due to that. I really appreciate you. Thank you for being with us tonight.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, it's wonderful to meet you. Anyone else have anything else? Member Concha?
No, I just pointed out to Vice President Spray that UNM does this. They have foundations. They have monies coming in to supplement. And in fact, my thought when I was hearing this, because we're also the advisory board for UNM, is that why don't they share some of that money with us? We're in the same community, but if we can do it on our own, that would be absolutely wonderful. And also, they mentioned your parents. Would you tell us who your parents were or are?
Sure. So I think many of you will know my mother in particular, Dolores Trujillo, who was a high school counselor, and previous to that was a high school home economics teacher. and probably taught a number of folks who were actually in the room or served as guidance counselor to a number of folks in the room. My father was also Horacio, who helped to set up the housing, the affordable housing program there in Taos, actually from the ground up, and then was active in terms of economic development throughout the community and throughout the state. Many of you will also, some of you who have lived there longer or older will know my grandparents on my mother's side, Luis and Lidia Martinez. My grandfather, Luis, owned and operated the last gas station on the Plaza intersection, the Plaza Golf gas station on the northeast corner, where I grew up working. So, yeah.
Remember that gas station?
Thank you, Member Concha. Did you want?
Sure, it's good to see you again. I think, I first met you when you did our strategic plan with, the board of directors for Rocky Mountain. And, again, I've heard your name a number of places, and I think you, mentioned some really important, topics such as, you know, reaching out to these institutions that we know have the wealth and resources, Gates Foundation, Ford, Keeler, Aspen Institute. And I think a lot of the time it's not knowing how to navigate those systems and how to reach out to them or having connections. And along with that, you know, just utilizing philanthropic opportunities. A lot of small communities like ours don't really know what that entails, what that means, how to leverage that type of funding. And so it's super important to have resources and people like you. It's prideful to know that, you know, people can leave our community and still come back and contribute, you know. I think that's one of the biggest things is that, you know, sadly, some people leave and don't come back or don't contribute, you know, and it's super important when you do make it out of little towns like ours that you give back. And so I'm always appreciative to hear, you know, the strategies that you have, the advice that you give, and the support, you know, that you're sending back into our community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
I guess one last minute.
yeah, Member Keith.
I said Horacio started the Rocky Mountain Youth Board guys. He was part of those guys all sitting around. I don't know if you guys were playing soccer or the kitchen. I played ball with some of those guys. Steve Patrick runs the Aspen Institute guys, and he lived in town. How long did you live in town?
Lived in town for a decade.
Yeah, and so it's just amazing how, you know, and Horacio has come back, guys, and when he came back, he had just graduated from Georgetown, and we had a chance to meet, and you know, Rocky Mountain Youth Board is still out there, guys. They're still doing excellent work. His sources, and you know, he's been a professor in California. A lot of you guys know Horacio, but so many people may not know him. And he's just, you know, he's got a long resume, and it's great to see him coming back to Taos and helping the school district, because you guys know that's where we need the attention for sure. Our youth.
Thank you. Thank you again, Horacio. It's been a delight to meet you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure, and it's an honor to be able to support. So I look forward to continuing the discussion with all of you.
And don't forget, when in Rome. All right, thank you so much.
We'll see you soon.
Good night. Good morning to you.
Have a good evening out there.
Thank you.
All right, and lastly, foundational goal 4, culture, climate, wellness, and school safety. I did get a chance to visit Ranchos Elementary, so I just wanted to share a couple of slides. This past month. Let's see if we can get that up there. And thank you, Maria, for being able to go back and forth. And so one of my visits, I went to go visit as part of, you know, reviewing the library programs. I went to Ranchos and got to see the small elementary. But in doing so, I got a chance to visit with, George and Lucille.
No, nice.
George and Lucille. And so I got a chance to visit with him and talk about the upcoming library program that we're revamping and revitalizing. And so just want to share a couple of pictures with you. So I can tell you that once I said library, you should have seen George, his ears just perked up and he was like, all right, let's go.
Right.
So that got a chance to meet a lot of the volunteers who do come to our campuses to read to our students. And so this will work itself out just right. So I think it's the next library. There we go.
There they are.
So just a little bit of a
Hi,
visit.
George.
But I also got a chance to visit a classroom and hopefully the video works. I'm really hoping it does. But the kids were learning, but also having fun. They were engaged. And so it was nice to see this. I'm hoping it works. If it doesn't, let's see.
Let's see. We just.
So if you're not over here, bottom line, what the kids were doing is they were singing.
Nope.
So they were singing, the students were engaged in that. And so it was nice to see that even towards the end, last few days of school, our kids were really getting their use of learning.
Sorry, Dr. Layton.
So that day was passed. So their teacher made sure that all the students had the Santa hats on, so. It was part of our spirit week.
And that concludes my report, based on the foundational goals of our strategic plan. Vice President Spray, board members, I stand for questions or any comments.
Questions? Comments? Nope, we're good. Wow, that was a good report. No questions. That's pretty good. All right, unless the board has another opinion about this, I think that we should table item L because it's supposed to be presented by President Flores. So may I have a motion to table that, please?
I make a motion to table, letter L, other new business, review and possible approval of discussions on the board goals and objectives.
Second.
Presented by Mike.
Great, we have a motion and a second. Board Member Concha?
Yes.
Board Member King?
Yes.
Secretary Trujillo?
Yes.
Vice President Stray? Yes, thank you, Anna. All right, consent agenda M, A 1 through 5 is the review and possible approval of minutes that we have not approved yet. And if you've had a chance to read through them, does anyone have any questions about the minutes or comments? We feel good about that, and we'd like to make a motion. We'll do that with the consent agenda, we do it all together. Any comments? Questions?
Just one, just on the cell phone. I can just check with that on there. It was just, it was, it was at the Pueblo, actually.
Was what?
It was at the Pueblo, my comments about the cell phone item. It's just that the students weren't using the pouches, that's what I said.
Right,
Yeah,
so you would like that changed? in the
yeah,
minutes?
the students at the high school wasn't using the pouches.
And which date was that?
What?
November 13th. Okay,
Yeah.
will you change that, please?
And
Okay, so we can.
I just want to make a small comment, Vice President Spray, if I may, and member of the board. Just so that you know, the 60-day legislation is coming up. There's a new bill that's being introduced by the Senate that would limit the use of cell phones in public and charter schools across the state if it's passed. The bill is the anti-distraction bill. I was kind of getting a little excited about this one because we can get some money back. So it says, it will require New Mexico Public Education Department to formally encourage school districts to adopt policies limiting cell phone use, which we've done already. But it would also reimburse school districts for any cost that they may need to purchase specialized storage equipment to implement new guidelines. So
Retroactively.
I sure hope so. But what I'd like to say is, Taos is ahead of the game.
Oh,
So going back to the point of that one, so.
I applaud you, Superintendent. It was, I felt very honored to be part of that you know, once again, you guys know Taos is. People come here and they go, you guys are still doing this? And that's what makes our community special, but to be ahead of the curve, listen to NPR, and it's like, yeah, we're doing that already, you know? And just the fact that Miss Emmy, the high school started right away. You guys started right away. It wasn't that 90s, it wasn't, I think it was in regards to Labor Day, that's what the official date was with the district, but you guys were like, you know, and that's day one, which I compliment you because that just, you didn't have to change. Yeah, so.
Thank you, Member King. All right, so when we approve, assuming we approve the consent agenda, Anna, you'll make that change on the 13th? Okay, thank you. So Dr. Layton, I assume you're recommending B, C, and D since you've got them on the agenda.
Correct.
Does anyone, for B, discussion of possible approval of the member of the MOU between Taos Pueblo Head Start and Taos Municipal Schools? Does anyone have any questions for Ms. Brasher on that? No? Okay, thank you for sitting here, Ms. Brasher, all night. No questions, no questions. C, discussion of possible approval to increase pro care purchase order by $110,000 for a total of $334,024.10. Also, questions with Rosalind Brasher. Does anyone have any question on that?
Yes,
Yes,
just again, elaborate on the increase, why the increase?
thank you.
Good evening, Board Superintendent. So, finance here, I guess we could say. So this is the PO for some of our contract teachers. We've got another one that started, another one is going to be starting, so I have to increase to cover that because we don't have the staff in-house.
Perfect.
Or just the increase on the purchase order, but the money was already there.
Because it's what was budgeted for teachers.
Okay, so, yeah. Okay. That's fine.
Thank you, Ms. Brasher. So it was worth you staying for this meeting. It's okay, the revisions to Taos Municipal School calendar for the school year 2024-2025. Any questions on that for the board?
I can give a real brief, we just stopped, virtual day, speaking of a school day.
Okay, great. I love hearing that.
Repeat that, Superintendent.
So we just pitched out in lieu of a virtual day, an actual in school day.
In person.
Mhm.
That was good.
Okay, so the consent agenda. Anyone like to make a motion to approve? Yes, I'm sorry. I remembered all through this meeting and I'm just finished. I'm so anxious to get out of here. Guests.
Vice President Spray, recommend that the consent agenda be approved as recommended. For items A1 through 5, B, C, and D,
With the change on November.
with the
13th.
change of number 13.
And I did kind of ask at the beginning, I assumed you would. All right. Motion, anyone want to make a motion? Yes, as moved, second, okay, Anna, please.
Board Member Concha,
Yes.
Board Member King,
Yes.
Secretary Trujillo.
Yes.
Vice President Spray.
Yes. Thank you so much. All right, future topics, anyone want to make any declarations at this time for me to note for tomorrow?
I do, I don't know that this needs to be a special meeting, but I know that there was mentioned by Mr. Lupon, about the impact aid applications we do next week, so I just wanna know like how superintendent or the board can support that happening, what needs to be done. If it calls for a special meeting or not, I think that up to you.
Member Coach, if I may, I wanted to, bring up to the board if it's possible. It would have been great to do the total policy reading in one night because, but we can't, so there's a second reading. So I would, like to have a special meeting next week so that we can specifically, so we can specifically do two things, approve the IPP, but as well as do the second reading so we can solidify in policy our program for the people age, and it would be done before the month of January.
Do you have a suggestion of a date? Or do you want to do that later?
We can suggest, I would want to do it right now because,
Okay,
Yeah.
everybody's here, so to
Okay.
speak. The date that I was thinking of was actually Wednesday, but I will leave that up to the board and their schedule.
Were you gonna do it like 5:30?
We can, yes, because I would propose that this would be the only two items for the special meeting. Let's see.
That's a Thursday.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's fine. At 5:30? At 5?
Yeah, that, if we do that, I do have the dental, like, for an extraction
Oh, my
in the
God.
morning at 8 to 9.
When Thursday,
Yeah, the 30th.
Is there any way we can do sometime on Wednesday, anytime on Tuesday?
That or I can come using. Yeah.
Okay.
And hopefully not from the,
Yeah,
Whatever, you think you'll be up to it?
yeah, that would be fine.
Okay. Do we want to do 5:30 on Thursday, the 30th then?
we can,
Is that right for everyone? Yep.
Early the better.
Okay, got it. So you'll notice that. All right, thank you. So we'll do that. Thank you for bringing that up. That's awesome. You brought that up. Anyone have anything else? This month?
No, that's, then we have one.
February 5th.
February 5th.
All right, any other future topics from this board? Transfer.
Dr. Layton, yes, it's the presentation on the.
If I can,
The reconciliation that's.
Yeah. Okay, got it.
Vice President Spray?
Yes.
Just need to.
if I can with, our IPP application, and our federal grant application, we need a little bit more time to be able to submit it.
So we need to move it up,
Thursday, would it give us enough? time
Tuesday?
To do that.
or even Monday?
Tuesday would give us plenty of time. Tuesday or Wednesday, just not Thursday.
Yeah,
Oh,
so you wanna move it what?
Tuesday, can we do
There's
that?
only a couple items, you wanna do it Monday or
Sort of
Tuesday?
Legislative thing.
There's a lot of them.
By Monday and Tuesday, we have to be in Santa Fe, is that going?
You could do it by Zoom, right?
We could do it by Zoom.
We can have some numbers, but Tuesday would be the best, or Monday. No,
I'm available both days.
Yeah, let's,
I can't do Monday, but
let's do Tuesday at 5:30
and then we can.
or 5.
is that this May meeting? or-
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just moving it, so it'll be
The 30th to the what?
28th.
28th, 5:30 PM, Tuesday, we changed that.
The 28th, yeah,
That'll work.
appreciate it, guys.
I know, I'm keeping in mind.
Yeah.
That's okay, I think you notice.
You're like,
Valerie, you guys talking about the reconciliation for future topics? Or was that just? No, the president, Susan and Naomi wanted us to have this meeting. And Susan did a presentation on the argument. Yeah. And the community schools federal grant. Report. Okay. I'll put that up. I'll give that to President Flores. Okay, upcoming Taos Municipal Schools regular school board meeting, February 5th, 2025 at 6 PM at the admin building. I want to thank Veronica, Anna, Mr. Layton, and I especially want to thank Mr. Winters, or Sheriff Winters, what do I call you, under Sheriff Winters?
That's fine.
Okay, and also if we extend our gratitude to the governor. And also, I guess, if Mr. Sandoval left, we could tell him thank you for being. Here.
yeah,
We really appreciated this so much. It was lovely. The food was great. The welcome was great. There it comes. Thank you for having us. Councilor Sandoval. Appreciate it so much. Thank you. The welcome was warm and wonderful, and you're always welcome at our home too in our building. Thank you. Have a good night, everyone. Drive home safely.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, happy New Year.
You have to make a motion.
Yep, we're going to. Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye, all in favor? Aye. Especially the sheriff who say aye.
Yeah, I gotta lock up everybody.